Black technology, building a lightsaber starting from a graduation project. Hello again, dear adventurers of the multiverse. Thanks for joining us once more on this epic journey. Remember, this story is pure science fiction from our wild imagination, so don't go trying to summon dragons in your backyard. The rights of this amazing novel belong entirely to its original author. We are only the narrators. Do you want more adventures? Show some love to our YouTube channel with a subscription and a like, and if you want exclusive content, our Patreon is waiting for you with open arms. Chapter 426, The Dark Plane of Genes. This is thanks to the selfless assistance sent by Lao Tai. If it weren't for the tension, doing so would have irritated the High Priest. Xu Teng would really want Xinghu to connect to the High Priest's network and thank him in person. Xinghu, can you increase the calculation of the wormhole? Let the objects passing through the pass not just ring the bell. This time, Xu Teng is to confirm that objects will not be decomposed by computing when passing through the wormhole. Clearly, the experiment was successful in the later plan. Xu Teng intends to install the calculation of the wormhole on the sanctioner mecha. This can have several benefits. The first is, when a weapon loadout is needed, it can be stored in a wormhole when needed. Wormhole operations are used to transport it out. Of course, wormhole space may be very small, but it is not impossible to store objects. The other is, let the sanctioner mecha warriors be able to respond quickly and support the battlefields all over the Blue Star in a short period of time. Although an anti-gravity engine is installed, it can increase the speed, but if the distance is too far apart, it will be a bit slow to rely on the sanctioner to enter and hurry. If you use the jumping property of wormholes, it will be different. Can do fast support, especially in the interstellar war. The sanctioner mecha warriors are more able to exert their supermobility. Analyze the samples and build a model. Logic enters the loop, simulating the experimental process. The experiment has entered an infinite loop. Rebuild the model, reanalyze. Various simulation data appeared on the screen in an instant. When Xinghu's computing power continued to rise, Xu Teng felt its true power. Each command is able to perform fast calculations, while also continuously building similar models. As it is now starting from the small object of the button, the body shape is continuously deduced. Cow, sheep, horse. Examples of different models of various organisms are all simulated at the same time. Symbolically find different examples from them to arrange. Use this pairing to master the rules of its wormhole operation. The rough operation rules have been obtained. In progress. Solve the simulation. The decomposition simulation is successful. Introduce the simulation example of the sanctioner mecha warrior. Different from just now, when Xinghu is put in according to the model of the sanctioner mecha warrior, the crash of the operation came very fast, broke in minutes. Warn. The computing energy is insufficient, and the mecha warrior cannot be put into the calculation of the wormhole. In the middle of the calculation, it will be stuck, and then the whole process will collapse. Final destruction. Just when Xu Teng regretted, Xinghu also made another voice. The wormhole operation for transporting objects is qualified, and the theory construction is successful. Can be thrown into the actual war. The gap between the voices is not long, and Xu Teng should be happy to some extent. At least one theory was successful. Although when a war occurs, it is not possible to immediately transfer the sanctioner mecha warrior to another place. But, at least today's war is not an interstellar war, but a requirement to be able to maintain support. Just when Xu Teng wanted to enter the research of another experiment, he suddenly remembered what he had just heard. Xinghu, you are saying that the sanctioner mecha warrior cannot transfer through the wormhole because of insufficient energy? Yes, if it was before, Xu Teng had no good way to solve it. But, in the decisive battle of the atmosphere, the Red Dragon No. 1 defeated the No. 3 Freedom Fighter plane with 1 enemy and 5 at that time. The fragments were all gone, but the No. 1 and No. 2 Liberty Fighters were when the sanctioner mecha warriors arrived, remotely controlled by the High Priest and self-destructing. Xu Teng also issued an order to collect those fragments for research. Looking at the pieced-up pentagram pattern on the experimental bench, Xu Teng fell into deep thought. Xinghu has never made a mistake. It said something lack of energy is not enough to support the calculation of the wormhole algorithm, so it will fail at the moment when the sanctioner mecha warrior is transported. And one of the functions of the pentagram on the test bench in front of you is to extract the life force of the object and enter it to complete various functions. A bold idea suddenly appeared in Xu in front of Teng. Xinghu, can you combine the pentagram and the sanctioner mecha to make up for the energy gap? Hearing the order, Xinghu began to execute Xu Teng's order. This was also the first time Xu Teng discovered that Xinghu took so long to use. Models are constantly appearing on the screen, and they are constantly being analyzed at this time. Xu Teng's own brain is also doing crazy calculations. Is there anything I can refer to? Mythical creatures? No, this is totally irrelevant to transform the power of genetic reagents. No, this still cannot solve the source of sacrifice power extraction. Xu Teng didn't hope that the path he took was the same as that of the god of death at a huge cost, sacrificing life to form sufficient energy for the sanctioner mech warrior to pass through. What's the point of that? It's just that they will accept what they once hated in another way. Now Xu Teng's mind is undergoing a big explosion of inspiration, and new ideas keep popping up, but they are rejected in the next second. Is it really not possible? At this time, the state of the explosion of inspiration has entered the final time stage. Through data analysis, it is not possible to simply integrate the two, because the civilizations between them are not based on the same foundation. But if the consumption calculation is placed on another plane, there may be different results. Another plane. When he heard this sentence, Xu Teng instantly dilated his pupils. He remembered one thing: once got a broken golden blueprint from Xinghu. The name is the Arsenal of Different Dimensions, because this golden drawing was not completed later. Therefore, it has been secretly ignored by Xu Teng. But now, he suddenly had an idea. The other dimension really can't do it. But if this side of us is considered a bright plane, then is there a certain amount of dark planes? For example, at the bottom of each person's genes, there are actually hidden genes with dark planes. Is it possible to transplant the wormhole operation by transplanting the wormhole operation into the whole person with the genes as a whole? Chapter 427: The Successful Expansion of Different Dimensions. Finally, the research results of the pentagram are transformed into it through the output of energy. The dark plane of its own genes is turned on. Combined with the analysis of the wormhole operation, the transportation calculation is realized. After clarifying the general experimental conjecture and the experimental sequence, it is easy to handle. Xinghu combines the research results of the pentagram with the wormhole arithmetic analysis method, analyze whether there is a possibility of fusion between the two, clear a long list of data models to start creating. Actually, Xu Teng didn't ask for much. When a civilization has risen to a certain level, it is possible to analyze the general operation of other civilizations, especially when the degree of civilization is in the interstellar civilization. A large number of data models and the content of experiments are passed in a short period of time. Decipher the most basic information. All Xu Teng needs is the sacrifice process of the pentagram, which can convert energy into another way to consume it. The most important thing is another point: the so-called dark plane of Geniswish, Arsenal of Different Dimension, began to unfold on the Xinghu screen. Although it is a broken golden drawing, however, there is also some important knowledge in it. For example, other dimensions, as stated on the drawings. The world today is a bright side, and there is a dark side beneath it. That dark side is the so-called other dimension. It also describes some methods of opening different dimensions, but the space opened is not much, only a small part. And when it comes to this, the knowledge of the entire drawing is all broken. This is the case with incomplete drawings. I always like to break them all at the most critical time. The normal idea is to open up the dimension of the other dimension first to confirm whether the method inside is correct. Then, at the very last moment, the whole method was extended. This proves the dark plane of genes. Xinghu, scan the data above the drawing and try to confirm whether the dimension of the other dimension can really be opened. Okay, blah blah blah. A trail of simulated data began to appear. There are two lines on the screen. One is a bright line, which can be clearly known in combination with the surrounding explanations. That is the bright line of the main world, where everyone lives with the addition of materials. The open line is slow shake. Slowly part of it was gradually broken, and the color gradually became darker. When he saw this, Xu Teng's breathing became rapid. The most critical moment has come. The dark line slowly stretched out, moving from the bright side of the world to another place obviously in front of Xu Teng. The lines were raised, but the raised lines in the front are gradually disappearing. Then, a small hole was torn open. From the moment it was torn apart, a trace of other color changes appeared on the blueprint that symbolized the main world. This is it a different dimension? At this time, Xinghu's voice also began to broadcast. Through the experimental data model, it can be inferred that different dimensions exist. Promotion through the model established by big data. When the symbol of the main world becomes the whole human body, the side of different dimensions has become the dark side of genes. Pen Fun Library. In the calculation, it can be known that the dark plane of genes does exist. Validation of ongoing experiments, promoting into the entire gene chain, calculating the approximate genetic data. One after another torrent appeared on Xinghu's screen. This is to add all the data to calculate how to open the gene chain to open the dark plane. After all, it is necessary to evolve genes in essence. It is still using science and technology to help humans activate the dark plane. Xu Teng's inspiration also entered the Big Bang when information was constantly being processed and regenerated. If genes are compared to the main world, those extending bright lines are the genes that can be observed, and the dark plane is in another change. When the gene chain is opened, it becomes a bright line, and in the simulation data, the dark line also appears when the bright line is opened. For extension in this comparison, the first thing that needs to be done is to open the gene, and then extend it. Thinking of this, Xu Teng was taken aback. Seems to have an idea. Over the next few days, abnormal sounds could be heard from time to time in Mech. Hey, I haven't seen Academician Su for several days. Tell me, is he conducting new experimental research again? Investigate. A colleague next to him gulps down the chicken drumsticks in the bowl and says vaguely, don't think about it, it must be. Then this time, will some new arrangements be made on the mecha? It's possible. A few days ago, I used to see new things popping out of my surroundings. Huh? You also encountered this situation? I thought it was only me who encountered this situation. I remember, two technologies were mentioned in the declassified dossier. One was a spaceship and the other was a wormhole. Ah, yes, it's a wormhole. Then, the thing that suddenly fell out was the result of the wormhole operation. Having said that, everyone looked up at each other. See the frenzy in each other's eyes. If it wasn't for someone to remind them, they wouldn't have associated these things with wormhole technology. But now, it seems reasonable. Just when someone was about to eat, he suddenly screamed, ah, look, that's... Following the direction of his fingers, he saw Rabbit staring blankly at the dining staff around him, carefully holding the carrot in his hand. His eyes are extra vigilant. Rabbit, why did a rabbit suddenly appear out of thin air? And many more. The clothes of the small expansion alloy that was worn on the body. It seems to be a sanctioner mecha scaled down by a certain percentage. The rabbit was teleported. So, wormhole operation successful. And the other side. Xu Teng was looking at Xinghu's test report. The target of transfer is adverse reactions, and all functions of the body are normal values. The intelligence of the transfer target has not been affected in any way, and it has a normal response to external stimuli. The data of one item is reported, and the overall data of the final evaluation is normal. Xu Teng breathed a sigh of relief with the establishment of the Xinghu Big Data model. The results of the experiment have made breakthrough progress. It's just that the shifting position is a little off. The archives of this time are established to summarize a more accurate energy consumption formula. Next time, don't move the rabbit to another place. Clear. Chapter 428. The Guardian. The space transfer of rabbits is already a great improvement. At least 1 point. The idea of the genetic dark plane is correct. The pentagram research is also successful, and the combination of the two can indeed reduce the required energy transfer to a certain extent. All that needs to be improved is the operation of the formula to a certain extent. The most accurate positioning can be achieved with subtle processing. After all, we are all mammals. The only difference is body size. A series of formulas appeared on Xinghu's screen. Model construction failed. The node of the wormhole collapsed. No problems were found in the close-range wormhole calculation. The next second, Xinghu's voice appeared again. Long-distance wormhole operation. The construction of nodes is not enough to support. Looking at the string of data at the top of the screen, Xu Teng fell into deep thought. The outcome of things is already obvious. The construction of wormholes at close range is no longer a problem. The key is the construction of wormholes at long distances. At every critical moment, there will always be instability. It's just like the sanctioner mecha had a short circuit at that moment. No, if it's really a problem with the sanctioner mecha, then it shouldn't even be able to complete the construction of a close-range wormhole. Looking at the data that Duo Meng was eating carrots in front of him, Xu Teng analyzed it. The sanctioner mecha is scaled down in equal proportions, and it has proven to be no problem in terms of material, function, or other aspects. That, the Bishe, the light emerging from his body suddenly attracted Xu Teng's attention. Since the last time he unlocked advanced mecha power, there has always been a flickering light outside Xu Teng's body. That's an unstable phenomenon. Advanced mecha power is not as easy to control as intermediate mecha power. Mastering is still the last part, but at this moment, the light that came out seemed like a flash of lightning to shake the fog in Xu Teng's mind. Mecha power, yep, that's about it. Turning his head, Xu Teng stared at the rabbit sitting in the corner eating carrots. The latter was frightened by the burning eyes. Teng, the hu in his hand radish, was frightened. The thought that popped into my head was, this person is so scary, he won't eat me up. Xinghu, factor in the mecha power factor. Clear. One after another light appeared on the constructed data model. A bright light was flashed, and it was the bright plane of the human gene chain. The other light, which was all dark, began to twine with light, which was the dark plane of the human gene chain at this time, the sanctioner mecha worn on the body began to operate, and a small pentagram began to operate. The energy block of the anti-gravity engine provides a steady stream of energy. Some are absorbed by the pentagram pattern, while others begin to open up the wormhole computational model above. Constructing the computational model of the wormhole. Xu Teng stared at the small cube it kept turning. That was the focus of the experiment. If it would be a qualitative leap. The civilization of Blue Star will succeed on a big step. Energy consumption. The node of the wormhole starts to open. Detecting the stability of the wormhole, the stability test has been completed, and no possibility of collapse has been found. Hearing this, Xu Teng's expression became more solemn and nervous. That's it. A small data block appears in a wormhole. A torrent of data began to flow on Xinghu's screen. This is the data model extracted by Xinghu at this time. It symbolizes the operation of the object quickly passing through the wormhole. Boom. The simulated thing has the sound of falling to the ground. Successful simulation. The sanctioner mecha warrior with the power of mecha can safely pass through long distance wormholes. This simple sentence completely excited Xu Teng. Pen fun library. It is as expected. It really has something to do with the power of the mecha. Xu Teng walked quickly to the confused rabbit and rubbed the other's confused head. Ha, you are really my mascot. The rabbit holding the carrot looked like he didn't dare to speak. I'm so scared of him looking like this. Xu Teng ignored the rabbit's eyes, raised his hand and pressed a certain watch on his wrist. It's like turning on a switch. A series of fluid-shaped battle suits began to appear on him and the body to expand. Today's sanctioner mecha does not need to be worn like before. When studying the algorithm operation of wormholes, Xinghu's computing power made another big breakthrough. Under the supercomputing speed, Xu Teng made a new generation of sanctioner mecha nano extended warframe, Guardian. Unlike the sanctioner, the Guardian has a new upgrade. All the parts of the mecha are compressed into the watch. On Xu Teng's end, it can be automatically donned by simply pressing the parts on the watch. In addition, there is a sentinel mode. When the Guardian enters this state, the wearer can come out of the mecha, and the guards guard the surrounding area, and can automatically operate when they find the state. The other upgrades are the computing scale of the wormhole, and the loading of thermal weapons completely turned into a mobile arsenal. The biggest difference between the Guardian and the sanctioner is that the support of the system is different. Other command assistance systems are isolated from Xinghu's body as a separate entity. However, the Guardian is connected to the body of Xinghu. This means that if strong computing support is needed, Xu Teng can mobilize Xinghu's computing power at any time. At this time, Xinghu just reminded Academician Xu, you have a meeting this afternoon about the defense line of the solar system and the warning of the upcoming war. Yes, send the location. A bright spot appeared on the Guardian screen, a few cities away from here. Xinghu, if I use intermediate mecha power, how long will it take to jump? The torrent of information began to appear, and Xinghu's thinking expression appeared with the model building one after another. The next second popped up an estimate of the time. 1 minute. 1 minute? Xu Teng was stunned. Originally he thought it would be soon. I didn't expect it to be so fast. Start making the first intermediate mecha power jump clear. After all, this is the first time Xu Teng has used the wormhole algorithm mounted above the Guardian. Just to be on the safe side, 2 defenses open. The first way, directly activate the intermediate mecha power. The second way, put the computing power of Xinghu ontology into it. Chapter 429 Use of Wormholes. A bright light began to cover the Guardian's body. Xinghu began to broadcast. A voice wormhole algorithm is being opened. In the node where the wormhole is built, the construction is successful, and its structure is being analyzed. The wormhole structure is stable. The next drop is being calculated. With a swish, a small wormhole door appeared in front of Xu Teng. After taking a deep breath, he entered the wormhole without hesitation. At the moment of entering, Xu Teng felt a different feeling from the last time he entered the base of the living dead. That time, it was a stable small wormhole bridge. When passing through, it is like opening a door, and then walking in is another world. The wormhole door constructed by the Guardian is a temporary stable access door. When crossing, it is like entering a long corridor. As he walked forward, a series of things were thrown behind his back. At the moment of passing through the past, the Guardian made a slight vibration, buzzing. This is the anti-gravity engine starting to run. Xu Teng fixed his eyes and saw that it was above a certain city. The air defense system above also discovered Xu Teng. At this time, when the officer sitting in the monitoring room was about to ask questions, he heard Xu Teng's voice. I'm just passing by, and this is researching a new type of experiment. Oh, it turned out to be academician Xu. That's fine. Even if you want to roll over the city, no one will stop you. There's even cheerleading down there if you need me, and many more. The officer suddenly noticed something was wrong. Academician Xu seems to have appeared suddenly. It's not rushing with an anti-gravity engine, this is wormhole algorithm. Just when he turned his head to stare at Xu Teng's actions, I saw ripples in the surrounding air, and then, the next second, Xu Teng disappeared. The commander covered his mouth in surprise. Fuck. This is a wormhole operation. Surveillance officers next to him also noticed something was wrong. However, when he just said this sentence, he was slapped with a slap. Looking up, I saw the excited expression of the chief and the words that were obviously wrong. What nonsense are you talking about? It's normal for academician zoom edge control. Oh, I understand. The soldier suddenly understood. The commander's lesson is right. It's obviously the normal progress of the experiment. There's no need to get excited. But after the excitement, the two fell into silence again. Academician Xu has been accelerating the progress of the research, which has already explained a problem. The piece is about to be broken. They are coming right now. Pen Fun Library. After thinking for a while, the instructor turned to the soldier and said, have a meeting at noon to increase the task of training a little more. Clear. On the other side, the splendid conference room was full of people at this time. The academics present are at least at the academician level, while the others are bigwigs who can decide the future direction of the country. There is only 1 minute left until the meeting starts. If they waited for others in the past, everyone's faces were somewhat impatient, but it is the words of academicians understandable. It doesn't matter if you wait a little longer. At this moment, the air in front of him suddenly rippled. Immediately afterwards, a portal was formed. A person walked out of it, and as he walked, the mecha on his body was recycled. When they came out completely, everyone realized that it was the person who had been waiting all the time, academician Xu. Because everything in front of him was so shocking, everyone didn't react for a while. Everyone is ready, then we'll have a meeting first. Xu Teng sat in the seat reserved for himself and started to speak. Xinghu, open the summary of the experiment during this period. Okay, today, Xinghu's computing power has been extended to the whole country. The military system has been fully taken over by Xinghu. Not just in the military, in fact, Xinghu has buried secrets in many blue star countries. Prepare for the war to come. Sounded. A virtual screen appeared in front of everyone, showing a beautiful PPT file. During this period of time, Xinghu's computing power has been fully qualified for the war situation of interstellar civilization. Based on Xinghu's supercomputing, the Red Dragon No. 1 space fighter has been developed. It has been mass-produced, and the Sanctioner mecha has been able to fully meet the needs of the war. Ocean 2 mecha warriors in Binchang accidentally unlocked the primary mecha power, and they studied their actual combat experience and analyzed the roughly scientific unlocking method. Everyone in the audience was secretly shocked while listening to Xu Teng's report, especially Li Rongsheng and the group of academician Tuzi. When they first saw Xu Teng, they analyzed some opinions with their keen intuition. If you devote all your resources to cultivating Xu Teng with time, he will definitely be able to stand at the highest level of scientific research to guide a new generation of scientific personnel to usher in a new era as a result. They all guessed, but far from thinking, the whole process came so quickly. Their older generation of researchers hasn't even retired yet. They were already sitting under the stage, listening to their younger generation reporting on the stage, and it's more than just reporting. There's a lot of technology that they haven't even heard of. On the basis of the Sanctioner, I designed the Guardian, the nano-type extension mecha. After speaking, he pressed the button, and the black mecha extended with the limbs finally cover the whole body. Seeing Xu Teng like this, everyone thought about the situation just now. Air ripples. Suddenly a door appeared. It seems that you have never heard of this technology, so is this a brand new technology? And many more. Wormhole technology. Not yet. Everyone thought of this. Red Dragon 1 corresponds to a spaceship. The space fighter is indeed in the duel with the Liberty, demonstrates superior defense and functionality, but now, it seems that the technology of wormholes has not yet been demonstrated. Xu Teng pressed the button beside him, and the PPT turned the page. This page is marked with a red title, The Relationship Between the Genetic Dark Plane and Wormhole Technology. Dazzling. All the people present became tense in breathing. As we all know, Red Dragon 1 is used as a space fighter. It can only mean that they have the basic ability to explore the universe. It does not mean that they can really start exploring the universe, because the long distance is the problem that restricts space navigation. To solve these problems, the emergence of wormholes is particularly important. Chapter 430: Sharp Knife Troops and the Solar System Defense Line. Wormholes are an essential and critical technology, whether it is for combat or to probe the depths of the universe. In a way, only wormhole technology is fully mature. Only then can it symbolize that this civilization has really developed into the interstellar civilization. At this time, all the academicians and bigwigs present witnessed Xu Teng starting this technology from the construction of ideas until it finally becomes a reality. The first realization was carried out in the Mechland, and the first transfer of position was achieved through a rabbit. Press the button in his hand, and the rabbit holding a carrot and nibbling appears in front of everyone. It was chosen because after the injection of genetic agents, it was found that this mammal was the most suitable for experimentation. After a series of equation construction and model operation, the transfer of the rabbit's spatial position has indeed been realized. Speaking of which, another series of data models are mobilized. A large section of data on the screen began to scroll, and when he saw that academician Tuzi calmly looked at academician Zhang Ying, who was sitting next to him. The latter had a proud expression on his face, and it was obvious at a glance that he was not here to listen to the report. No, what is your expression? Academician Tuzi couldn't bear it any longer and asked in a low voice, it's not you who came to the stage to make a report. What are you proud of? Are you sick? Oh, why can't you see that? Proud? In order to let academician Tuzi see more clearly, he deliberately moved his face closer. No. What are you proud of? Just a little academician of applied mathematics. Can you understand the above? I don't understand. Zhang Ying was righteous. Then you are so proud. I don't understand. When he was about to start spraying, Zhang Ying replied, that's my student. You? Obviously a name. You are. That's my student. He turned his head angrily, but said nothing. The latter said again, that's my student. Gan. This kind of magical voice is simply irresistible at this point. Xu Teng just came to the crucial part. According to this idea, I extended the wormhole algorithm, and let Xinghu establish various experimental models. Through experimental models and various real-world data, I have discovered a general rule that makes the wormhole algorithm work. That is, at this moment, everyone next to him couldn't help swallowing. Most people's eyes became brighter because, they all know, having said that, the atmosphere is set off, and there must be a big discovery. A warrior with the power of a mecha can use a wormhole to traverse the terrain. Boom! When this conclusion was reached by Xu Teng, everyone in the room instantly became tense. Everyone witnessed Xu Teng coming out of the wormhole just now. The initial guess was that only Xu Teng could inspire this technology, but now, it fully shows one point. As long as a warrior with mecha power, wearing a sanctioner, even without a guardian, can complete the wormhole jump in just a few minutes ago, Xu Teng once said this data, we now have 100, mecha power. Sanctioner warriors, what does that mean? A big killer composed of a whole 100 people. When the frontal battlefield is in a stalemate, soldiers with mecha power can directly pass through the blockade area, enter the enemy headquarters. If you can, maybe it can change the whole situation of the war today. The beautiful country does not have wormhole technology, and the only place on the blue star that has it is the high priest. From the level of confrontation, at least they will not be at a disadvantage when facing the high priest. The big guys present immediately began to express their opinions. We must organize all these 100 people to form a special combat unit and increase the amount of training. Clear. Xinghu, who received the order, issued the order immediately. It is good to have super artificial intelligence here. Before the meeting is over, some important actions can be immediately transmitted to each combat zone. Please name the team. Hearing this, everyone looked up at the big guy sitting in the other C position. The latter smiled and said to Xu Teng, let academician Xu name it. After all the plans were proposed by him. If someone from a beautiful country is here, they will be surprised and speechless. Come, they know that Long Guo values Xu Teng very much. However, I never expected it to be so important. Everyone sitting in the conference room has a respectable status, but the right to name is directly handed over to the young people who have just risen. Let's call it the Sharp Knife Unit, Xu Teng said after a little thought. Sharp Knife? This name is very vivid. Okay, and Xinghu, who got the order, broadcast the voice. The name of the unit has been confirmed, and it is named Sharp Knife. Then let's move on to the next part of the discussion. Turning his head, Xu Teng pressed the button, and a circle like the Great Wall appeared in front of everyone. The battle between interstellar civilizations is too intense. Whether it is in terms of the number of casualties or the wasted resources, it is not something that a planetary civilization can withstand. That's why we decided to place the battle in an interstellar environment, and this defense, like the Great Wall, is the solar system defense line I conceived. The whole line of defense is divided into 3 parts. The outermost part is the survey station, which is used to monitor the Death Fleet from another part of the universe. The middle part is to build various defensive zones. If we have the ability to build warships and flagships in the future, this is their position. The last one is to store weapons of mass destruction. Seeing Xu Teng explaining it seriously on the stage, everyone had a different feeling in their hearts, either surprised or amazed. There has never been a scientific researcher who can lead the entire country's scientific research and technology to improve a lot in such a short period of time. There is only one word difference between planetary civilization and interstellar civilization. The technological content of this is at least a century or two behind, and the ultimate goal is not the high priest and the beautiful country at all. What? You ask why they are not valued? That's because they don't deserve it at all. Those plans above the record and flagship, everyone knew they were incapable of building now, but no one ever doubted it. They cannot be built in the future Pen Fun library because there's Xu Teng. When Xu Teng finished talking about the plan, everyone stood up and applauded. Chapter 431 Mine. When Xu Teng came back from the meeting, he didn't give himself a vacation. I tried to mobilize resources so that the Guardians could do mass production, and even conducted a new experiment that night. Xinghu, has there been any action on the opposite side recently? Speaking of what he cares most about, Xu Teng still wants to know what the other two countries that want to make trouble are preparing. No, they have reduced communication between networks. Sure enough, at the beginning, Xu Teng got news from Xinghu that the high priest sent a group of God's chosen people to support the beautiful country. He knew that there would definitely be another way to increase communication between them. Did not expect so soon. Is there anything that looks a little out of the ordinary? The top of the screen showed the expression of Xinghu thinking, and then two marked places appeared in the next second. Judging from the recent actions, they may conduct a series of military operations around here. There are two places marked by starlight. One is jungle, and the other is mountain. These two places? Xu Teng frowned. Judging from the terrain, it was indeed a good place for military activities because there is terrain to cover. When performing a series of activities not easy to find, and God's elect have many abilities that they don't know about, issue the order and send a certain number of sanction or mecha warriors to patrol around. At the same time, let the sharp knife troops be on standby, ready to accept tasks at any time. Clear. A series of orders are issued from here. If it's really what Spark had guessed, this time their actions will be the fuse, and the war will break out once and for all, but that's fine. Anyway, we didn't think about coexisting peacefully all the time. Integrating resources is the most important thing. To compete with a fleet of death god civilization, it is not enough for one country's resources, it needs the resources of the entire blue star. Swish swish, the sound of the wind blowing through the grass. From a high altitude, everything is very calm. Nothing seems to have changed. If you zoom in a little bit, you can see that the surrounding air is filled with layers of fine black mist, and crawling around here with many crowds, just as Xinghu calculated through big data. The other party has indeed acted. It is not a single person, but the civilization that integrates the high priest has already acted. The layers of fine black mist around them are the newly developed abilities of God's chosen people. By disrupting the surrounding radio waves, satellites above the sky cannot see the environment on the ground. A blonde man crawling on the ground with a gun was very troubled. I never imagined that things would turn out like this. When the global live broadcast of the Red Dragon #1 ended, all the soldiers in the beautiful country realized one thing: their enemy is not only the civilization of the high priest, but also another civilization on the other side of the blue star, the Dragon Kingdom. Damn, they already have space fighter jets. The kind that can fly to the universe. Why haven't we even heard of the plan? Is this a so-called military power? When you brag about getting up, you really don't want any face at all. All began to express dissatisfaction. Some people are even suggesting that while the defense force on the high priest side is empty, why not take the opportunity to push the defense line further inward in order to plunder their scientific research technology through war? It is indeed not uncommon for a victorious country to receive compensation for technology from a defeated country. That night, even many soldiers were moved by this proposal, but just when they were going to make a further joint application, the big guy above started to speak. Don't get excited. As a powerful military country, we will naturally have advanced technology. Then, a group of people with black mist above their heads entered the camp. The soldiers in the camp were shocked when they saw this. The long confrontation made them particularly familiar with a person with a black mist on their body. Many relatives and friends were killed by them, and it is precisely because of them that their country's forward military bases cannot be established. It even became a laughingstock at one point. So we're cooperating with the high priest's army. Everyone has thought about what form they will take to improve their own country's technology, but never thought to improve in this way. No, if you really want to divide the human beings on the entire blue star, only this group of people will not belong to the human segment, and even stand on the opposite side of them. That night, unrest broke out in many camps in the beautiful country, but when the black mist appeared on the chosen people of God who came to support them, all the troubles were solved. Everyone saw it with their own eyes, and some black fog entered the minds of those who opposed it. Then there was no more opposition in the camp. Although it sounds very absurd, a week ago, They were still mortal enemies. I will not bring down your forward military base. I will not give up. I will not occupy your secret base, and I will not end it but they can become comrades in arms and crawling in the jungle together. Accurately deal with another blue star native civilization. Sure enough, there is no so-called permanent hostility between countries at all, only permanent interests. If so, the statement they heard, the beautiful country secretly sold all its own people and became a subsidiary civilization of an interstellar civilization. It doesn't seem like an impossible thing. The blonde man looked at his subordinates around him, and then at the sacrifice not far away who was constantly emitting his own black mist. Mixed feelings. Quick, the surrounding magnetic fields have all been disturbed by me. The satellites above can't detect our movements. Let's walk around. The hoarse voice came out, and the broken gun-like voice was like a leak. Sounds extremely uncomfortable. I heard that this is also the disadvantage of their sacrifice. When the ability is stronger, oneself will lose a lot of things to a certain extent. The modified body will be less like a normal human being. The blonde man Gaia frowned, although he didn't want to, but the duty of a soldier is to obey orders. Let's go. Just as he said, hurry up. In an instant, all the troops crawling on the ground got up and ran into the distance like a torrent through this jungle. There is a mine in the distance and their mission to destroy this mine. I heard that the raw materials for the sanctioner mecha are produced here, and there is the red dragon #1 that can fly to the universe. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 432, Entering the Target. Although Gaia was puzzled why the news of the mine can be obtained so easily, however, I didn't think about it in depth. After all, when the priest sent by the high priest and them conduct joint operations, the strength shown by the other party broke their previous cognition. The siege fighters and the base of the living dead are only a small part of the strength shown by the opponent. There are also many forces hidden under the dark side, and from a certain point of view, the high priest can keep them alive. It's because they didn't mobilize all the power to attack them. It is beneficial to engage in a three-legged situation. Even their high priest understands this idea very well. The enemy of the enemy is the friend. And the beautiful country is really gone. Wouldn't that leave me alone to face another civilization that often hurts me? And the news of the mines here may be the news detected by their mysterious and unpredictable abilities. Quick, keep up. Gaia kept urging the troops under him. Unlike the troops mobilized by the opposite high priest, they need to communicate by radio and must communicate in the area close to them, because someone above has said that the artificial intelligence of Longo may have planted a dark seed in the middle of their network. If it does not rely on the ability of sacrifice to interfere, all information about the operation of the battle may be intercepted by the enemy at that time. Gaia had an idea in his heart. No, that's it. Why are we going to clash with the troops of the Dragon Kingdom and fight? Shouldn't our greatest enemy be the High Priest group? Turning his head, he looked at the other group of troops hidden under the black fog. Compared with them, the others' actions were silent and don't need radio to communicate. Direct use of brainwave. This human. When did Blue Star become like this? From the beginning of the action to the present. Just as the other priests said, both the satellites in the sky and the nearby monitoring equipment are all useless. Gaia saw with his own eyes the monitoring equipment that emitted a red laser, and plumes of black smoke came out from the inside and completely destroyed. I have to say, these abilities are really good use. It seems that being a human being still has effects that humans cannot achieve. The surrounding detection instruments have all failed. The opposite side will not be able to respond within a short period of time. Even if the AI is doing the detection in the background, it will only think that there is a problem with the device itself. You have 10 minutes to complete the task. To be honest, Gaia didn't like the other party's broken gun-like accent at all. Sounds harsh, the one that leaks from time to time, but this is the task. Even so, I don't like it. You have to complete your own task. Gaia nodded and whispered into the walkie-talkie. Brothers, listen up. I repeat, what we need is technical information. If you can crack the code, it's the best thing to take away the technology. If you can't take it away, take a little raw material back and let our scientists analyze it. Technical data and raw materials, both are more important than our lives. Do you understand? Clear? Okay, let's go. With a word from Gaia, all the groups entered a state of battle. This is a good battle plan from the beginning by sacrificing them to interfere with the monitoring of artificial intelligence. The black fog that keeps emerging is a means to cover up the enemy's monitoring, and they are performing the work of rushing into the mine. Clear division of labor and mutual cooperation before the mission. They were prepared for intense conflict, but the priest who came to support him said a word. No, we will complete this task very easily. Now, it's really easy. The time they chose to raid was also late at night. This is the state of mind shutdown. There are a lot of houses around, and they look like accommodation buildings, but all the lights are off. There is a 3-story building in the distance, and a red 5-pointed star can be seen on the top through the moonlight. The exterior of the building is all glass construction in the distance. Only rows of mechanical equipment can be seen vaguely in the dark background. It looks like a sleeping ferocious beast. Report from each team to see if there is any abnormality. No, everything is normal. Something seems wrong. Gaia, reorganize your thoughts from entering to the present. It is just as the priest said. It's true that all the monitoring equipment has failed. The mine here is indeed the target of their mission. Everything seemed perfectly normal, but Gaia really felt that something was wrong. Each team comes according to the requirements of the mission, and the first team is on alert to check if there is any abnormal situation around. The remaining 6 groups, 3 groups go to the central hall and strive to replicate the refining technology of the other side. The remaining 3 groups went to the raw material center and took part of the raw materials inside. Clear. When the tasks are all arranged, the tactical teams are all dispersed. This time, the teams that followed Gaia on the mission were all Marine Special Forces with rich combat experience, not to mention replica technology. It is not a problem to find all the underground devices here in a short period of time, but there were no lights around no matter what. It always gave Gaia a bad feeling. He suddenly remembered one thing, that is, the priest once said a word. Not only can it cut off all the surrounding detection equipment, but it can also invade the local network and mobilize the basic information inside. Pressing the headset in his ear, Gaia began to try to contact the other party. This is what makes him very uncomfortable. Since the beautiful country was in Blue Star, other countries have always followed their orders. When did it start? The location actually changed. If there is no reply from the other party, Gaia does not even have the ability to talk to them. What's the matter? The broken gong's voice and the obvious impatient tone made Gaia angry. You wait. One day I'll break your head with a gun. After adjusting his emotions, Gaia said, we've come in and we're in a bit of trouble. Basic information about the mine is needed, which will help our search progress. It's not our business. The priest directly refused. No, this is your business. It was originally planned to interfere with the detection device and provide the most basic information on the mine. Mad, I really want to stick a hot gun in your mouth. A shot blasted your head. Chapter 433 Mutation. Although Gaia was very angry, it was at this moment that he felt a kind of treatment from other personnel. As the country with the strongest military on Blue Star, the beautiful country used to treat others like this. There was silence for a while. Just when Gaia was about to give up, the broken gong-like voice rang again. You'd better get the job done. Sizzle, an electric voice came out, and then all of them, including Gaia, felt their consciousness appear in another place. A large amount of information popped up in my mind, and a torrent of gray data was shuttled incessantly. Don't move, the sacrificial priest warned. Which was also his unwillingness to bring everyone into the state of the flood of information. Not only let his energy be partially weakened, but he may also assure an unknown troubles. At this time, the building plan of each building appeared in everyone's mind. Once again, let them feel the charm of death civilization technology. Many of the troops, like Gaia, did not like what they were doing, but there are also some people who pursue the ultimate power, and they do not resist the omniscience that this ability can bring. Even the bottom of my heart is willing to accept it. Slowly, just when all the information on the floor was about to be parsed, a red wall suddenly came head-on in the flood of gray information. This wall is particularly conspicuous. Before they even had time to dodge, they bump into it. Boom. At that moment, my mind seemed to explode with pain, but it's not over. Immediately afterwards, a series of red walls surrounded them. Even Gaia, no matter how stupid, knew what was happening at the moment. Are we under siege? The tone was a little surprised. After all, Gaia has seen many scenes, but never such a scene. Nemas, shouldn't the war be fought in the main world? No matter how outrageous it is a war between informatization. But what does it mean now, and why does it seem to be besieged in terms of mental power? No, that's your level. Originally, Gaia was dissatisfied with the sacrifice, and now he has written all his emotions in face up, and the other party didn't care about the feelings of others around him. The priest began to sweat non-stop. It was only the first contact that he felt that the gap between himself and the other side was like a moat. Integrate all your spiritual power into me. It is good. God's elect did not hesitate at all, because they also knew that if they failed this time, they would all be finished. The world of spiritual power will always be a little more dangerous than the heat weapon war in the main world. At the same time, they also hooked up to the local network. If you are not careful, you will really have to stay in the network information for a lifetime. The turbulent black mist began to emerge, adding bonuses around the priest. The layers are like waves, And then the black mist begins to transform compared with just now. It is like an extra sharp leap and bang. Stuff library. The red wall in front of them charged again. The only difference from the last time is that this time the red wall was directly smashed, transformed into red shards all over the sky. It was only now that Gaia reacted, turning his head and glaring at the priest standing beside him. He shouted, "Didn't you say that the monitoring equipment on the opposite side was completely cut off? What exactly is going on?" And the priests who are at war obviously do not take Gaia in their eyes. "Shut up for me. What is it like? You don't need to come teach me how to do it." In fact, not only Gaia felt confused, but even he himself felt confused from the situation at the time. Everything was fine. Use the black fog to block the satellites above, and use the black fog to invade all the monitoring equipment as soon as you step into the surroundings of the mine and it is directly invaded from the inside. Directly interfere with the line, and even use the network to carry out an infinite loop, so that the artificial intelligence in the background mistakenly thinks that there is a problem with the equipment. Obviously there is no problem, so what the hell is going on? In fact, Xu Teng's reputation had already spread among the High Priest's troops. It's just different from Xu Teng's reputation in the Dragon Kingdom. On the High Priest's side, he is a proper demon. The knock on the door of death. Whoever played against Xu Teng didn't end well. Original. He doesn't believe it. There are many people with unique names in this world after all. Along the way, they had no accident at all, not to mention accidents. It seems that all defensive measures have failed in front of them, easy and fast. That's it. At that time, this disdainful thought appeared in the mind of the priest until the red wall slammed into it, smashed all his contempt. The thought has gradually become, "It's over. Am I being tricked?" Boom. Again. The red shards scattered in the sky, different from just now. This time the sacrifice was a bit more forceful. Looking at the seemingly endless red wall, the priest was angry. Pen Fun Library. Others don't use their full power at all. They just keep playing themselves. After pondering for a while, the priest began to take a breath with all his strength. His body kept bulging just like a balloon. Boom rumble. The torrent of data around is constantly emerging towards the figure of the sacrifice at this time. Considering the surrounding situation, he finally made up his mind. Go on. Just keep being the object of being teased. Moreover, with the passage of time, the black fog that emerged will eventually dissipate. At that time, it will be the real dead end. The dimension of the current data torrent is only a low-latitude cyberspace. Spatial expanse is limited. The power that has blessed so many of God's chosen people may not be able to rush out. Of course, there is one more important thing, that is, the group of soldiers of the beautiful country standing beside the sacrifice. The essence of the pentagram is to use the other party as a sacrifice, and using them as sacrifices to obtain the source of power may not be able to achieve the ultimate fish death, and the net is broken. Even if it was investigated, no one saw it anyway. Teammates are my best sacrifice. To put it directly, all the people in the beautiful country have sacrificed, or everything will be fine. At this time, Gaia felt the opposite emotion for some reason. A sense of danger suddenly came over. "Break me!" With a shout from the priest, the figure instantly swelled up. Even the red wall in the distance came at a much slower speed. Chapter 434, Trap. A play. Gaia's eyes lit up because the eyes of the priest just now were a little too dangerous. No matter how you look at it, it looks like you want to treat them as sacrifices. And it's not that Death Civilization hasn't done that kind of thing. Those who took refuge in them eventually became living dead and used to attack the military bases of the beautiful country. Thinking about it, my scalp was numb. So he hoped from the bottom of his heart, this time, he would be able to break free. The red wall did not hit, and was automatically destroyed on the way. It turned into a red shard in the sky, and from the moment it left, it was discovered that it was not a real shard. Rather, it blends in with the surrounding gray torrent. Boom. The swollen body of the sacrifice collided with a gray torrent. In an instant, a certain degree of vortex appeared in the space above the head, and everything around seemed to be absorbed into the vortex. Ho ha ho. At this time, the priest let out a low roar. And all of them were unwilling in their hearts. Everything was not as easy as he thought. It really touched the top layer of the entire space, but it seemed that all the strength of the whole body was hitting the cotton. When one's own strength increases, the upper limit of space is raised. So, are you kidding me? An astonishing thought popped into the mind of the priest. No, not possible. If this is the case, since they thought they had deceived the satellites in the sky, they even cut off all the surrounding monitoring equipment. It has already fallen into the opponent's travis. As the gray torrent of data began to speed up, the black mist on the sacrifice was slowly wiped out. There was a crackling sound all around. Gaia, who was standing beside him, gave a crack in his heart. Judging from his performance just now, the more and more black fog on the body of the sacrifice, it means that his strength will become stronger and stronger now. Sources of power are being eliminated. Judging from the state of the elect of God next to them, They cannot be replenished for a while, so, if you really want to help me, brother, come join me. The idea suddenly popped into Gaia's mind so that, the former silently separated a distance a little. Not only was there only Gaia, and many of his subordinates originally, I wanted to share the building information with them. But now, all of them are trapped in the torrent world of information, and the real situation is indeed the same as what Gaia thought. Every piece of the black mist that is dissipated is their energy, although now it seems that the size is large, occupying a lot of advantages, but the situation is not so good. The sprint has become very slow, and the ceiling height seems to never be reached. If it goes on like this, sooner or later you will be trapped here, and those chosen people of God who have followed themselves have already contributed their strength. At this moment, the priest thought of what the high priest had said to them before departure: when the situation reaches a moment of crisis, allies are not allies, but your energy and fuel. Don't have any psychological pressure at that time, just do it cleanly. Compared with those soldiers in the beautiful country, I'm more afraid of any crisis in you. Each of them has a pentagram, although everyone can't go out for the first time, but, in this space, it is not impossible to sacrifice the soldiers of those beautiful countries. It would be better if the means were clean. When the high priest's words came to the priest's mind again, he made a decision. He stretched out his hand and waved at the person next to him. A turbulent black mist began to appear from the former's body, rushing towards the beautiful soldiers on the ground. What is he doing? Many people in the special forces were stunned. Next second, the two groups standing near in a daze were all rapt. Are you taking us out? But, haven't the limits been broken? With a bang, a strong tingling sensation came from all over the body. This is, someone responded. Help, where's this taking you out? Just to get you on your way. The black mist emerged from the wound, and then expanded to the whole body. The facial features continued to be corrupted, and black mist was constantly emerging from everyone's body. A sense of weakness begins to emerge, a sense of self. The source of one's life is continually being drawn away. First, a ray of light emerged from the soldiers of the beautiful country, and then a dazzling light continued to flicker. Next second, the priests, who had been suppressed before, began to gain strength again. With a wave of his hand, the black mist above his head turned into a sharp weapon that continuously compresses the air above. A boom rumble, a deafening sound resounded throughout the area. Compared with before, it is indeed more motivated, and it even just looks like it can directly pierce the dimension of this space. Only, the remaining special forces who were still alive were in a terrified mood at this time. Before that, Gaia once mentioned a word to them: if something goes wrong, try to stay away from worshipping them. At that time, the question was raised, why? And the answer: it doesn't matter how close you are if you really want to die. Before the mission, they also got some news. For example, the sacrifice of the pentagram does not require much. The most basic change still depends on the person who uses it. As soon as the thought moves, the nearby people will die in an instant and become the nourishment of the other party. But the status of the beautiful country for a long time has confused them, and everyone has some arrogance in their hearts. Who dares to stab us in the back? Just this scene broke everyone's fantasy. The sacrifice was just a beckoning, so many group members instantly became nourishment. How dare they? Someone gritted their teeth. Only Gaia forced herself to calm down. From the first time he set foot on this land, he felt something was wrong. Everything around him seemed to be planned. This feeling is getting stronger and stronger at this moment. Looking up at the gray torrent confronting the priest, he thought, is this the confidence behind the Dragon Kingdom? In other words, from the beginning, the other party was waiting for us to fall into the trap. But it's not right, the sacrificial priest once said, because he suspects that the other party has planted a dark seed in the network. Since then, all their communication has been within the scope of spiritual power. No. Really cracked. Chapter 435, Invasion Consciousness. At this point, out of their sight, Xu Teng is listening to the data reported by Xinghu. The spiritual world is being impacted. The damage has reached 30%, compared with expectations. The persistence time is shortened by 20%. The mental pollution potion continues to take effect, and the opposite side has not found the true and false of the world for the time being, just as Guy had guessed when a group of them stepped into this land. Xinghu monitored everything. The black mist that came out of the sacrificial body did hide the monitoring of the satellites above. Not only that, but not even the slightest movement was revealed. But Xinghu's computing power has already reached the social standard of interstellar civilization, that is the artificial intelligence of the real interstellar society. Those with powerful computing power have been able to control all the battleships. Even the flagship control is nothing more than that. If the surveillance in the sky can be avoided, it is difficult to say those dark sentries deployed on the ground. Black mist emerged from the sacrifice, destroying the surrounding monitoring equipment at the same time. Xinghu also used the opponent's spiritual power to counteract everything, just as the Red Dragon #1 interfered with the consciousness of everyone in the Freedom #1 in the atmosphere. This time Xinghu used the same method, and because of the successful experience in front of the foreshadowing, the other party didn't even notice it, and the mental interference slowly entered the body of the sacrifice along with the withdrawal of the black mist. Even the chosen people of God who were standing on the side were disturbed in the same way. This was Xinghu's plan from the very beginning. As long as the mental interference is used, it is destined to be contaminated by the mental explosives created by Xinghu, and the final trigger is the local network of the mind. Just like the door, as long as the priest tries to invade the local network and obtain accurate information, the mental explosives lurking in their hearts will definitely be detonated. Furthermore, the participating coalition troops were all involved in spiritual pollution. The stronger the resistance, the greater the countermeasures. Xu Teng watched everything that happened on the screen. Just like Xinghu established, when the sacrifice is in a disadvantaged position, it will definitely sacrifice the surrounding beautiful countries, and that's what Xu Teng wanted. Coalition? No, it's just a sacrifice I need when I'm trapped, that's it. Xinghu, are you recording it? The entire video is being recorded to ensure that every detail will not be missed. That's good. Has the data model been collected yet? It will take some time to analyze. That's fine, just collect a little more data. It's not us who are anxious now, it's them. As Xu Teng said, it is not him who is anxious at this time, but those who are besieged. What bothers the priest is why everything here seems to be planned. When his strength increased, the other party also began to raise the upper limit, and when his strength weakened, everything slowly returned to normal limits. The energy generated by the black mist was continuously reduced. The source of life originally drawn from the sacrifice, now it is a little bit exhausted only. Gaia and the others standing beside them were frightened from the analysis of the current situation. It seems that everything has become the original starting point. The figure of the sacrificial priest gradually shrinks, and the entangled black mist gradually dissipates. Isn't that? The rest of the combat teams looked at each other. The calf is finished, and they want to use our lives to supplement it. Crash. In an instant, he ran into the distance. As soldiers, they are not afraid to die to a certain extent. Dying in battle for the country is the duty of most soldiers, but what they want is dead worth. Instead of being beckoned by a sacrifice like a pig in a dog, it instantly became a sacrifice. Their own life energy has become a bargaining chip in their hands. However, how can everything make them wishful when being pulled closer to this spiritual battlefield by the sacrifice? Everyone's fate has been secretly doomed. Sacrifices are another beckoning. With a wow, a large black mist appeared instantly. In an instant, all the remaining troops were shrouded in, and even Gaia did not let go. Hiss. When they were shrouded into the black fog, they only knew what that despair was like. The whole body was cold, and the smell of corruption came out of the body. The body temperature began to drop continuously. The so-called life energy is being continuously exploited from the body. Come at this moment of life and death, Gaia felt that his consciousness gradually became blurred. My own life began to be recalled. Born into a prominent family, in the beautiful country. Their family has a long history. This is what he has been proud of since he was a child. Later, as he grew older, he realized that he could rely on his family to obtain many things that others could not get in their entire lives. Unlike the other two generations, these righteous wills have always instilled in him, and have always guided him successfully. Admitted to the military academy, joined the army, promoted. This way Gaia seems to have never had setbacks until later. The civilization of death came to Blue Star, and the stunning appearance of Red Dragon 1. He never understood why he had to cooperate with a high priest to invade the Dragon Kingdom. This is also his dissatisfaction, but as a soldier, he never had a choice. I probably die. Gaia's consciousness entered a blurred state. Damn. I'm really not reconciled. Why is this happening? At this moment, inside a certain base, Xu Teng heard Xinghu's prompting voice. Detected the strong unwillingness of the sacrificed, invading consciousness. Invasion successful. Data has been intercepted. Immediately afterwards, a large piece of information material appeared in front of Xu Teng. Gaia? It seems, he is still an officer of a prominent family. His status is not very high, but he is also a second son anyway. In fact, before this, Xinghu made a suggestion that is to instill thinking into the soldiers of the beautiful country, because the other party has begun to be vigilant about the secrets on the internet, and has changed a way to communicate. Xinghu cannot intercept all the information of the other party. This means, if you want to intercept important information, someone needs to be mixed in, and it can be used by them. This method is defined by Xinghu as invasion of consciousness. Modify at the level of consciousness. What's more, the violent conquest of Blue Star is not the best thing. The resistance in various places will never end, which will inevitably affect the integration of resources. They need someone with some status and some appeal at this time. Gaia, who was beside the priest, happened to belong to this kind of character. Chapter 436 Everything is fake. Xu Teng was taken aback. I was still struggling with Xinghu about this issue before. What kind of people should I find as a target from the point of view of the progress of the task? The sooner the better, because there will inevitably be resistance on the way of integrating resources, but I never imagined that the target person would be delivered to the door like this. Xinghu, judging from the data, if this person's consciousness is invaded, what is the success rate? Although many models have been established, no human experiments have been done as for whether it will be successful or not. Xu Teng still has no bottom in his heart. Building Gaia's data model, the target's desire to survive has skyrocketed, and he feels an unprecedented hatred for the army of the High Priest. Life energy continues to be extracted, and will gradually blurs. Items of data immediately appeared on Xinghu's screen, and were continuously being analyzed. Consciousness invasion requires several methods to be successful. One is that the other party's idea of survival must be strong. If you don't even want to live, it's useless no matter who comes. The other is that consciousness should gradually be in a blurred state, so that when Xinghu invades, there will be less resistance. And now, from which method to consider Gaia satisfies the situation? Identified, the success rate of consciousness invasion will reach 90%. Do you want to execute it immediately? Looking up, Xu Teng looked at Gaia, who was constantly struggling on the screen, and gave an order: execute the consciousness invasion, and immediately interrupt the process of sacrifice. Okay, if it was elsewhere, it would be difficult for Xinghu to interrupt the sacrifice ceremony, but this time is different. The entire space where the sacrifice is located is created by Xinghu by interfering with his spiritual strength. The opposite side has been the trapped prey in the game from the very beginning. The reason why he was not sentenced to death is just to record the moment when the sacrifices caused massive harm to the people of the beautiful country. Otherwise, two fronts would really go to war at the same time. Even with the sanctioner Mecha and the Red Dragon #1 in front, it would be very disadvantageous. A large amount of data emerges into Xinghu's screen, and the interference of mental strength has been pulled to the maximum. Invasion awareness, progress 1%. That is, it was at this moment that Gaia, who was in the black mist, felt a different feeling. Originally, the black mist invaded the body, and the pentagram rotated in the other direction. All the organs in the body are shrinking, and there is a power of the origin of life being extracted. Even his own consciousness has entered a trance state. But just now, a question popped up: are you willing to dedicate yourself to another cause? No matter whether the road ahead is smooth or not, you are determined to fight the civilization of death to the end. Fight against the civilization of death? This question is literally on Gaia's heart. It's okay for them to change themselves into non-humans for the sake of power, but that's not the most important thing. Obviously everyone is allies and should help each other, but in order to get out of trouble, all teammates were turned into sacrifices. Not even just on Cizo. Why do we have to be teammates in the war with such people? Gaia was very angry. He was on the verge of death, and his mind was full of one thought: how should I kill the sacrifice in front of me? Now that this question suddenly came up, is it still worth thinking about? Yes. If there's a chance, I must kill the sacrifice in front of me. With an angry will, Gaia began to roar. It's just the end of the road. In the final counterattack symbolizes a desire for unwillingness and extravagance, but at that moment, Gaia felt a will begin to enter his mind. The black fog began to slowly recede in his mind. It was like seeing a plague. The light that occupied his body gradually turned into light, slowly spreading to his entire body. The body that was originally thought to be repaired badly, gradually recovered in the gray data torrent space. A light far from this world appeared. It penetrated all the way from the top of the dimension and hit Gaia directly. Warm and cozy, it seems to be able to mobilize the power of this dimension. The violent reaction even made the priest feel that something was wrong. The sacrificial ceremony was forcibly interrupted, and some people in the air began to slowly descend. They should have died at this moment. I can feel that some of the wounds on my body have been repaired. No, impossible. Sacrificial and Jero. The sacrifice of the pentagram is difficult to interrupt. After all, the foundation is the interstellar civilization, and death and the civilizations encountered on Blue Star are all planetary civilizations. How could a civilization spanning a plane be disturbed? But, before they set off, the high priest once said a word to them: ritual of sacrifice cannot be interrupted. If there is a problem one day, unless the dimension is wrong when it comes to the issue of dimensions, the high priest specially emphasized one sentence: at the time of the decisive battle with the Red Dragon #1 in the atmosphere, the pilots of the Liberty had crossed the road and entered the world constructed by the other party's mental strength. If one day, everything starts to reappear, it means that you also enter the world constructed by spiritual power. At that moment, it depends on your fortune. The sacrificial priest once asked, "What does it mean to look at our creation?" After a long silence, the high priest replied, "It depends on whether the other party wants to kill you or not." At this time, Gaia, who was about to be tortured to death, suddenly widened her eyes. There was a dazzling light on his body, and the surrounding black mist all became thinner as a burst of dissolving sounds began to sound. A priest can clearly feel that his power is constantly weakened. After the long confrontation, the priest felt that something was wrong. How can a dimension of space keep growing as its own power grows? It's like there is no limit. He once doubted whether the dimensional space is imaginary, or to put it bluntly, they were all fooled and fell into someone else's trap, kind of spiritual world. But because the other party has never made an outrageous response, and there is no substantive doubt now, Nemes. What does it mean that the body of ordinary people is flooded? You really don't think of us as intelligent people, do you? Or, the showdown is over. I'm not pretending. I've played enough. You have no use value. The sacrifice was so shocked that his whole body fell into an ice cave. This is symbolic of a point they have always been toyed with, and have indeed entered into a psychic predicament. Turns out everything was fake. Chapter 437 Confrontation. When the priest realizes this, people will be numb in this dimensional space. I have been fighting wits and courage for so long. The final result is, you told me everything is false. After driving the pentagram to sacrifice the opposing special forces, he gained power. Originally thought that it was done without knowing it, but now what you tell me is, all are within the scope of being monitored, and it's a live broadcast. The soldiers of the beautiful country who were sacrificed were afraid that they would not let them go also, let alone now. What is the situation with Gaia in front of him? The kind that anyone can kill me in seconds? No. I am a dignified sacrifice. This can only be achieved by stepping on the sacrifices of so many people. If you can surpass others in 1 minute, then what kind of bullshit sacrifice do I do? The mood has completely collapsed. Okay, but that's what's happening right now. The black fog was no longer able to affect Gaia, and even retreated voluntarily. The light from the top of the dimension seems to have no limit, and it has always been charging into Gaia at this time. In another base, Xu Teng was listening to Xinghu's voice broadcast. Small world dimension. Some channels have been opened. Mental power is continuously being introduced. The influence of the black mist has been compressed. Target subjects, Gaia and the surviving beautiful soldiers of the country, are receiving treatment, and their bodies are recovering quickly. Because they were cured in the spiritual world, it was not difficult for Gaia and his accomplices to be cured. It's even easier. The reason for curing it is to expand Gaia's power. It can be said that Xu Teng is planning the moment when Gaia is ready to accept the invasion of consciousness. Invasion awareness, progress 50%, invasion awareness, 90% progress. Once a person chooses to accept the moment when their consciousness is changed, the degree of cooperation will be very high. The biggest difficulties have been solved, and the time required will be shorter and shorter. Looking at Gaia's whole body shining brightly on the screen, Xu Teng suddenly thought of a sentence at this moment. Do you believe in light? Or, as if there is no light in the world, then I would like to be that light at this moment. Gaia's state shows this, and the priest who had been standing beside him also began to be anxious. No matter from a certain perspective, Gaia should not be allowed to continue. A turbulent black mist emerged from the body. Compared to just now, today's worship is really serious. The black mist formed a wide open net and wrapped it towards Gaia in midair. The moment the black fog and the light collided, there was a loud noise. It's like cold water poured into a frying pan. The surviving special forces members next to him looked stunned. No, isn't our captain a normal person? Why did this happen all of a sudden? And it's on par with the sacrifice on the opposite side. If they didn't know that Gaia has always been his own person, they can't help but notice there a strange creature that invaded into Gaia's body. At this moment, in the collision of darkness and light, the sacrifice did not get much benefit. Everyone could see the monstrous black fog, which was suppressed, and it's getting weaker. The point is, Gaia in midair didn't even open his eyes. What illegal operation is this? Also Nima. It's too daring. Simply out of line. Gaia can feel everything that happens outside. The only thing is, he can't control his body just yet. There was a strange voice in my head. Data is being recorded. Model is being built. Consciousness has been successfully built. Echoing the latitude space. Energy is being mobilized. Energy has been read. Start preparing to enter the counterattack. When the sentence appeared, Gaia opened his eyes instantly. At that moment, the teammates below had an illusion. It was as if the world in this area suddenly opened its eyes and linked up with Gaia. The priests who were in a state of confrontation were the first to react with a wave of his hand. All the surrounding black mist was sucked into his body. Pentagram's forced sacrifice ability has been suppressed in this dimension world, so I don't know what happened, but how many sacrifices can be guessed from the moment they came up. They fell into the trap rather than using the black fog to destroy all the monitoring equipment. It is better to say that the other party made a game, let them channel the power it was then affected, and their mental strength was completely disrupted from that moment on. They had already fallen into this latitude world prepared for them. It's here, the people behind it can even be called gods, and they may not even be able to resist after Gaia woke up. He looked at the priest with vigilant eyes and sneered. What? Don't continue. Wasn't it very good just now? What about the mesh attack formed by the black mist, and the forced sacrifice of the pentagram? When the combinations of pentagrams are different, don't they have different functions? Why are these not mobilized? With every word, Gaia takes a step forward in a short distance. He came to the front of the sacrifice in an instant at this time. A very strange scene was formed. Obviously the other party is huge. In comparison, Gaia is inconspicuous, but the surging black mist was suppressed so much that it couldn't even roll as far as temperament is concerned. The latter is completely crushed. Pen fun library. If it can't be done, then it's time for me to come. When he looked up, a light appeared in the sky, then they converged into Chinese characters. The territory is sacred, although it is far away. It will be punished. Everyone obviously has never learned Chinese characters, but they can understand them, and those tumbling lights gradually turned into a figure. Xu Teng looking at the figure that suddenly appeared. Everyone was in a mixed mood. Obviously everyone present will die. But they are rescued by the other party. The figure dissipated, gradually turned into dazzling light, and converged into a sharp sword. It smashed directly at the black fog in the distance and fell from the sky. The dazzling light and the indomitable aura made everyone present instantly shudder. It turned out that they wanted us to die, just for a memento. Ho. The sacrifice is naturally unwilling to be captured like this, and the remaining black mist incarnates into a large net and then into a suit of armor. Dang dang dang. At that moment, the sound of impact kept ringing. Chapter 438 Transformation. The black mist summoned by the sacrificial priest constantly changes its shape and becomes a variety of weapons. As a knife, he slashed at Gaia in front of him. As soon as it got close, it broke into two pieces. When he missed a hit, the moment he retreated, the priest waved his hand, and the black mist surged into a sword, and continued to stab at the shining Gaia. The momentum is huge, rolling up gusts of wind and waves, like raging waves. But this time, before getting close to the other party, it shattered into bursts of smoke. That's it. Gaia's mocking expression hung on his face. I was not very strong just now, and I was able to force all of us into your sacrifices. Why not this time? Come on, let me see what you are really capable of. The huge sacrifice did not respond, and even took a step back in horror. The attack just now was his all-out effort, but in the end, it still didn't work in front of Gaia. It was like an insignificant tickling. He was able to get close to him originally, but in the end, the attack shattered before it got close. Can this be beaten? Isn't that what it was sent to? A huge sense of crisis suddenly came to his head, and a thought emerged. Run, perhaps. The world constructed by the spiritual force has quite a few flaws. It's better to look everywhere than to die here. So the surviving special forces saw a situation that surprised them. The tall sacrifice was instantly differentiated into several villains, and they fled in different directions. Is he trying to escape? Seems like it. I'm riding a horse. Absolutely. It's really ridiculous to step on the horse to open the door to the ridiculous, and it's ridiculous to get home. Is this the so-called sacrifice? The so-called elect of God also said that the evolution must be the best warrior, but Gaia and Madar was not ready to let them go. Run? I didn't speak. Can you walk? Now let you see what the same attack will do to you. With a move of Gaia's hands, the light began to flicker, and a torrent of gray data emerged from behind him. At this time, Zing, whose prompt sound was ringing in an office of the base constructing the data model of the pentagram, basic data import, self-check of the program in progress, completed self-test, no abnormal effect, in-depth construction of pentagrams is in progress, data is continuously imported, arranged and combined, mobilize the data in the big database and build an optimization model. In fact, everything in front of me is also one of Xu Teng's plans to drag the sacrificial priests and the troops of the beautiful country into the world constructed by spiritual strength. One is to exacerbate the contradiction between the two civilizations, and to shoot images of the sacrificial sacrifice of the beautiful country. They have long been accustomed to seeing each other. If the video flows into the mainland of the beautiful country, there will definitely be a large-scale resistance to the so-called coalition forces. The second reason is to try the star analysis, and the constructed pentagram pattern is really effective in the atmospheric decisive battle. Xu Teng controlled the Red Dragon 1 and successfully defeated the Freedom 1. Before their bodies were completely scattered, the Sanctioner Mecha unit has collected a series of fuselage fragments, And these fragments have been analyzed here at Xinghu and expanded into the big database. The data of these experiments have not been professionally monitored at this moment. The sacrificer on the opposite side and the fleeing God's chosen people are the best subjects for the experiment. It's exciting to think about using your pentagram to defeat your native civilization. Looking at Gaia's clothes fluttering on the screen, Xu Teng said with a light smile, Xinghu, mobilize the power to the maximum. There may be marks left by the high priest on them. If the power is small, it may be counterproductive. Anyway, Gaia wants to pretend to be one, so give him an oversized one. Clear. As Blue Star's strongest artificial intelligence, Xinghu also analyzed from Gaia's series of behaviors. At the same time as the light flickered, it began to change its appearance. The surviving younger brother raised his head excitedly, and then saw a scene they will never forget. Compared with just now, these lights have changed, not on the shape of becoming a weapon, not even that kind of tendency. Slowly, the light began to fade, and there was a black fog around, and bursts of lightning flashed above. It seemed that something was being carved in the black fog. Little brother stared blankly. No, yes, how did it suddenly change from a messenger of justice to a monster of evil breath? And this posture seems to be no different from the sacrifice just now. Turning his head, looking at the people who kept running away at this time, the priests and the chosen people of God also began to stop. A familiar feeling emerged, and one by one in the platform built by spiritual power, they are communicating with each other. This looks like the formation of a pentagram. I also have this feeling. Surprised, the priest abruptly stopped and turned around, and then saw a scene he will never forget. The reason why the civilization of the god of death has been able to penetrate the beautiful country many times, it is because there is a pentagram that supports it. As long as it is still there, different combinations can be constructed. Then their abilities can be matched into different combinations within the theoretical range at the same time, because it cannot be cracked by other civilizations. Whether it is a sacrifice or a high priest, there is an idea. As long as I am within the blue star, I am invincible. It doesn't matter if you jump for a while now. Anyway, I can imitate your technology at any time. And my technology, it is difficult for you to crack it. What is invincibility? This is, but what is this all about? Their so-called technological confidence was crushed and shattered at this moment because everyone clearly saw the formation of the pentagram, and, still a standard model, its meaning symbolizes that all life in the space is sacrificious. At the moment when the pentagram rotates, there is a breeze. The next second, it became intensified. Boom boom boom, a violent gust of wind blows. Whether it is the sacrifice or the chosen people of God at this moment, can't stand still. The figure flew towards the space of the pentagram uncontrollably, and no matter how they mobilized the black mist, the power within the body had no effect. Turning his head, he inadvertently saw a survivor standing not far away. Several people were stunned, because even if they mobilized the power of the pentagram, it was impossible to do this. Let this group of people not be affected, because the combined meaning of this pentagram is to sacrifice the life in the Spacino way. Xu Teng can still transform it. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 439, Broken. Although I don't want to admit it, however, the facts do appear that way. A pentagram that they can't use is working wonders. Sacrificial. Quick, think of a way. Didn't you say we still have a last resort? If we don't come out, there is really no chance. As Xu Teng guessed, before the priest left, the high priest had a private conversation with him. If you really encounter a situation that you can't solve, you must activate the mark I gave you. It can transmit part of my power. That moment is the critical moment for you to get out of trouble. Originally, the sacrificial priest thought this was a life-saving means that he would only use in future battles, because the high priest also said to him, carving a seal is not an easy task, and in the whole life, the person who is given can use it only once unexpectedly. Such an ordinary and simple task would destroy his future. Xu Teng, Gaia, I remember you. After a roar, the priest made every effort to activate the mark in his body. At this moment, Xinghu's prompt sound began to pop up frantically. Warn. The target character's energy threshold is rapidly increasing. Warn. Unknown energy components emerged and began to spread at an alarming rate. Warn. The dimensional world constructed by spiritual strength is constantly being impacted. Warn. It is necessary to urgently invest spiritual power, otherwise the dimensional world will be immediately destroyed by impact. Standing in front of the screen, Xu Teng looked calm. Sure enough, Everything was as he had guessed. It is true that the high priest left a lot of things in the sacrifice perhaps, from the last atmospheric decisive battle. The high priest also realized something: talents that have been cultivated with great difficulty will definitely fall quickly if they are not properly protected, even if it can be mass-produced. Under the leadership of Xu Teng, the development of the other party's technology is really too fast. No one can stand this. Xinghu. Mobilize spiritual power to stabilize the constructed dimensional world. Clear. Whoosh whoosh. At this point, the gray data torrent is the world of this dimension keeps spinning. This is the spirit of mobilization, and all of these are transferred, blessed and integrated into Gaia's body. That black vortex continues to spread, and just in front of the vortex near the pentagram, a mutation suddenly occurred. A larger network formed by the black mist emerged from the body of the sacrifice, and the wind was good, and it expanded into vortex-like size in the blink of an eye. Next second, boom boom boom, the violent crashing sound continued to appear. Gaia, who was originally in an absolute advantage, has a faint tendency to be suppressed at this moment. No matter how the torrent of gray data poured in, the large net formed by the black fog on the opposite side remained motionless, just like a boulder. It will not be moved in the slightest. What the hell are these? If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I wouldn't have believed it. I live in a technologically civilized society. Why does the sacrifice suddenly have such power? Look, there seems to be a face, that is. High Priest. Every soldier of the beautiful country who sets out to fight will conduct a series of mobilization with the sacrifice of the other party, and in these places of mobilization, there will inevitably be high priests. Everyone has seen it, but no one has thought about it. It is possible to project the high priest at the moment when the figure of the high priest came, an old breath emerged, and even Gaia, who was facing him, kept shaking at this moment. At that time, the top of the dimensional space that the sacrifice could not reach no matter what. At this time, the position of the upper limit continued to drop. As everyone can see, the gray torrent of data above has slowed down a lot, and is even slowly stripping away. This is a pentagram. The high priest's voice was a little strange judging from the current situation. It seems that the opposite pentagram is constantly consuming the energy of sacrifice. But why? The launch of the pentagram, isn't it a sacrifice? With a wave of his hand, a flood of gray data appeared in front of the high priest. With a grasp of his hand, a large amount of information poured in instantly, and the expression on his face went from bewilderment, to sudden realization, to shock. At the end, surprised. He didn't even look at Gaia in front of him, but said solemnly, "Xu Teng, is actually you again. How is it possible? How can you crack part of the technology of the pentagram?" The inherent pride of interstellar civilization was mercilessly shattered at this moment. For the first time, the feeling that he would definitely win was shocking. If he can even crack the secret of the pentagram, it seems difficult to continue this war. The gray torrent of data has transformed into Xu Teng's appearance, and his voice is still as flat as usual. What's wrong? Isn't the Reaper civilization also based on technology? You die? With a move of his hand, an object began to land on the sky. Space-based weapons. At this moment, a strange look appeared on everyone's face, because, when the projection of the god of death was summoned, the solution that was solved by Xu Teng was a space-based weapon that fell from the sky. And now, the high priest also realized it, and his anger reached its peak in an instant. "Xu Teng, don't think about it this time." All the black mist came out of the mark in an instant, and at this moment, a grid was formed by intersecting and staggering. Compared with the original network of sacrifice, the scale at this moment is much larger. The sky-based weapon that fell from the sky came to the high priest in an instant. Feeling full of oppression, but he also found something that's behind the space-based weapon, which is actually a combination of pentagrams, plus a fictional space-based weapon constructed by Xu Teng with his spiritual power. What do you want to do? At this moment, the high priest has a bad premonition, as if he was deceived on the other side. Xu Teng was giving orders to Xinghu, move out all the instruments, record the details of the high priest's activation of the pentagram, and do not let go of any details. Clear. Boom boom. The violent sound instantly swept the entire dimensional world, which was different from the last resistance this time. The shock wave continued to sweep, and everything around was gradually being torn apart. The dimensional world continues to fade, and the essence begins to reveal itself. With a boom, everyone heard a crisp sound. Something is broken. Chapter 440, Overthrow the Plan. That is, from this moment, a gust of wind suddenly surged around, and the dimensional world began to fall off piece by piece. The world is on the verge of breaking. In the office of a certain base, Xinghu's voice kept ringing. Warn. The impact of the energy collision has exceeded the threshold that the dimensional world could withstand. Warn. The dimensional world is under attack. Warn. The collapse of the dimensional world is in an irreversible direction. Listening to this series of warning voices, Xu Teng did not react too much. It's just a pity. I still can't suppress the high priest in the technology of pentagram. Xinghu, mobilize all the sensors. Record all the details and build specific models and data cases. Clear. With Xinghu's warning sound, the confrontation between the two sides has come to an end. After all, the projection of the summoned high priest is still superior in energy, and the big net formed by the turbulent black mist will instantly catch the space-based weapon smashed from above us. The energy spewed and the light flickered. The resulting impact further stirred up the entire dimensional world. The fragments kept shattering, and anyone could see that the dimensional world was directly on the brink of shattering. Gaia, who was originally the protagonist, stood beside him and stared blankly. He really couldn't understand, why is the spiritual power activated by a mark so strong, and also, academician Su, can't this crack everything? The world built by spiritual power began to crack the pentagram by using the technology behind it, and even combined the attack effect of the Death God civilization. Although, the current effect is not very ideal, but this is just the beginning. The violent explosion sounded at that moment, and when I looked up, I saw that the entire dimensional world had been broken. Everyone was lying in one place only. Some people's bodies have long been shattered, torn apart like dolls. And those surviving Special Forces soldiers gradually sobered up. The high priest's giant-like body has dispersed, and only the priests and the so-called chosen people of God are present. The state has long been not as good as before, and many people's bodies began to bleed, especially for sacrifices. The surging black mist is early. It has stopped, and there is no good place for the whole body from any point of view. It is extremely miserable. Sacrificing. Finally, the projection of the high priest was summoned because the body of the sacrifice was soil, and the mark on the body was forcibly catalyzed and projected. Although, the imprint left behind can bring the energy to the peak in an instant. However, all the damage received during this period must be transferred to the priest. The dimensional world is indeed broken, but the impact of that energy needs all sacrifices to bear. For the high priest, these may not be difficult, but for him, a small sacrifice. His life has come to an end at this moment. Looking at the unfriendly eyes around him, the priest gritted his teeth and said the last sentence, walk. As soon as he finished speaking, he fell to the ground with a boom, and he didn't even have the strength to get up. Just as the surviving chosen people of God panicked, a joking voice sounded around. Go? Where do you want to go? When you were in another world just now, you were very arrogant. Why, now that you have come out, do you think everything you did back then can be treated as if it didn't happen? Tattoo. Approaching footsteps. The chosen people of God looked up and saw Gaia and the beautiful soldiers with fire in their eyes. Forced sacrifice. Not even one. If it weren't for the sudden appearance of Xu Teng and a clearance for them at this moment, everyone still wants to live? No, they would have sacrificed and died like pigs and dogs long ago. Lie. Don't joke. When the crisis of survival comes, you are only our sustenance. Gaia, we are God's chosen people. Have you made up your mind? Even now, God's chosen people still want to struggle. After the rolling black mist surged for a while, it stopped. All the energy of the whole body is concentrated on the sacrifice. Until now they have not recovered. What? You still want to scare me? Let's not talk about me. Look at the group of people around them. Will they let you go? The answer to God's chosen people was the sound of a series of gun bolts being pulled. We are allies. If it really causes damage, the high priest will not let you go. Not only Gaia, but even those soldiers felt very ironic when they heard the words of the allies. Our task is to let you go to see the high priest. As for whether he will let us go, let him come. Tattoo. The sound of guns is endless under normal circumstances. It is difficult for ordinary firearms to cause fatal killings to God's chosen people. However, because the other party is in a weak state after all, he was seriously injured to a certain extent in the dimensional world. Even ordinary firearms are not something they can stop. When all the black mist dissipated, there were only some of God's chosen people who were sifted into sieves. Bah, it's just you. You're still doing your best in front of me, high priest? Let me tell you, we will be here to make your high priest specially. Only the sacrifices were kept. Captain, should we kill him with this thing? The deputy captain pointed to the dying priest and asked. No, keep him. Take it home as a witness and let everyone see what the so-called justice forces have done to us. What if he doesn't recognize it? It's okay. We have this. A small device appeared in Gaia's hand at the moment when the dimension world was broken. Xu Teng catapulted the small device onto Gaia's body through a nearby device. The surrounding team members had tangled expressions on their faces. Even the stupidest person knows what the scene just happened means. Gaia is almost supernatural in the dimensional world. The sudden power and follow-up help all are what Ekata mission Xu Teng did in the very back. The invasion consciousness was not only used by Gaia alone, but the thoughts of the surrounding team members were also affected at this moment. The hatred for the high priest began to rise. Who is the real enemy? The goal has begun to reverse. What if the higher-ups above don't recognize it? If they are able to form an alliance with the high priest, it must be possible to suppress this action. After being silent for a while, Gaia's eyes flash fiercely, then overthrow them all. Chapter 441, Successfully Collecting Data. Before, they would have been stunned when they heard this. Although dissatisfied, there is still some feeling for the motherland in my heart. But now, I don't think there's any problem at all. Allies, bah, it is not uncommon for sacrifices to be made. I have heard of it a few times. Besides, even if it really suppressed the technological civilization on Xu Teng's side. When the high priest calmed down, there was no need to say who the next person to deal with was. Taking a step back, the sanctioner Mecha, the Red Dragon #1, these newly developed weapons have never been used on them from the beginning of the global live broadcast. The space-based weapons that fell down have explained the situation. Their target enemy is the Death God civilization that is far away, and the last person to deal with is also the cosmic fleet built by the interstellar civilization. Then do we end up walking with Xu Teng and the others? The vice captain has already inferred some of Gaia's thoughts from the current situation, even from the actual situation. Xu Teng, who followed the Dragon Kingdom, is the best result under his leadership. The pentagrams are accelerating their cracking. And the beautiful country? Recently, there have been rumors circulating in the army. The country has secretly surrendered to a certain interstellar civilization. What is this all about? Who knows? Whether the interstellar civilization will treat their group of people as the same as the Death God civilization, and they will kill if they want to. It also prefers to use a certain overall evolution, as well as the argument of elimination. Let's go together. Gaia glanced back somewhere, her eyes firm. Then he turned his head and asked, if Xu Teng hadn't intervened this time, would we have survived? Hearing this sentence, everyone's faces were complicated. Then, the vice captain began to express his position. I support what the captain said. Anyway, no matter what the outside world says, we can see that the high priest is not the best partner to cooperate with, and does not even treat us as human beings. The officials have been hiding the news, and they haven't even developed new technology. In this case, following them would be fatal. Yes, I agree, me too. The result of the coalition of the two countries, it ended in the failure of the first mission, and the seeds of subversion were also planted. Starlight's voice on the other side kept prompting. Inferring from the results, consciousness invasion has been successful. The inherent thinking impression on the opposite side has been changed. The seeds have been planted, and when everything is conducted on a crowd basis, the effect will spread. Consciousness invasion does not simply rely on mental power to change people's inherent cognition. When mental power works, it needs to be verified by actual events. Why are the soldiers of the beautiful nation willing to form a coalition with them? In essence, it is also because the spiritual power of the high priest is playing an important role. Solidify everything from the bottom of their minds and get them to accept that. And the consciousness invasion developed by Xing, who is, in a certain way, more ruthless, coupled with the confirmation of the case, the consciousness can be solidified directly. Finally, the seeds were sown. In this case, when Guy and the others returned to China, the already weak alliance relationship would collapse instantly. But judging from Xinghu's calculations, the high level will definitely take action to suppress the matter. Naturally, this group of people will not agree, and they will definitely be in chaos. In the end, one thing is almost settled. Xu Teng turned to look at Xinghu and asked, how is the data collection of the high priest? Although it is a pity that the dimensional world is destroyed, everything is similar to what Xinghu calculated after using big data simulation. Successfully carried out a series of cracks on the pentagram, and even used it in actual combat. Of course, the most important thing is the projection of the high priest. Those valuable data are generally hard to come by. Successfully collected everything needed for the experiment. The new operation combination of pentagram is added to the database, and the cracking is being performed. The pattern of the imprint has been recorded and successfully recorded. Part of the spiritual power, with the infiltration of the mark, may interfere with the high priest to a certain extent. Oh, can it penetrate into the past with the imprint pattern? At this time, Xu Teng asked in surprise while looking at the scanned imprint. Through the analysis of big data, another function of imprinting was discovered by accident. Having said that, Xinghu paused. Maybe the other party. I am troubled by this. As Xinghu had guessed, Spiritual power had infiltrated with a mark and successfully affected the high priest inside the splendid palace. The voice of the high priest was a little exasperated. Damn, why is this power so indelible? It was not the first time that the high priest and Xu Teng had met, but it was only a few times. Each time it started and ended with his failure. The summoned death god projection was nailed to death by space-based weapons. The base of the living dead was destroyed, and even the semi-finished mythical creatures in it were directly lost at that moment. When the high priest was angry, he would take the initiative to project and speak harshly, and after, finally, a global live broadcast was launched to promote Blue Star's strongest space fighter, which was beaten by the Red Dragon #1. Even in the end, in order to prevent the other party from getting the prototype, they directly controlled #1 to self-destruct it first. He was afraid that the pentagram would be cracked on Xu Teng's side, but how long has it been? Even the beautiful country was pulled into. The troops of the Allies still can't help but fight. From the moment he went to the island, he was already caught in someone else's scheme also. Use the pentagram against yourself. Xu Teng could think of such a lossy move. I thought, the pentagram was completely impossible to crack. The confidence of technology completely collapsed at this moment. The other party can also affect him through the imprint. No, it can't go on like this. In this operation, a few people from Gaia survived. If everything is transmitted back, the Allies may end. No, I have to take action. Right. Find their high level first to suppress everything. Anyway, we also have their handle. If we refuse, we will threaten to be released by the image of their long-time surrender come out. Yes, that's how it is arranged. That night, all the high-level officials of the beautiful country were shaken. The high priest seldom contacted them. If you really want to say it, it looks more like a higher civilization's disdain for a lower civilization. I thought it was something to be happy about, but the information made them feel like they were going to explode on the spot. Chapter 442 Halfway Intercept. What? You said the operation failed? In the face of the anger of the senior officials of the beautiful country, the high priest showed a very calm, even condescending attitude. That person, well, have our people come back. The reason why he is so anxious is because he knows that there are several second generations in this unit, and the family of Captain Gaia has a lot of energy in the country. A group of people died, a group of people survived. The high-level executives who heard this sentence were instantly excited. Has Gaia survived? If this second generation dies, there will be a lot of trouble. Because in the army, he has always had a very high prestige. Although the energy of the family can be ranked first in the whole country, but it has a knight-like spirit. In addition, he likes to run wherever there is danger. The image of a tough guy and his handsome appearance are regarded as idols by many people. The reason why he dared to send him outside this time is because the high priest has invested in sacrifices, and there are many God's chosen people to a certain extent. Many hidden dangers can be solved, and the high priest also guarantees the mission must be completed without danger. The monitoring equipment on the opposite side is already blind, although now I don't know why there was such a little accident. The mission failed, but it doesn't matter, as long as there are people. At this moment, the voice of the high priest came over. Gaia survived, and some team members also survived, and the priest I sent in the past was also caught. Oh, just survive. As soon as he said these words, the senior was stunned. Something seems wrong. It's not just the tone of voice that's a little off, but even the words in the words that's a bit off. You mean, the priest was caught? What does that mean? I'll tell you clearly. When they heard that the troops had been under surveillance from the time they landed, and that they had fallen into the dimensional world, the top management was stunned. If you change the person, change the scene. He felt that someone on the other side was joking with him. The subsequent development of the plot was really similar to a joke. Forcibly sacrifice the troops of the Allied forces. Gaia was in the dimension world. Super got inside. The priest summoned the projection of the high priest through the imprint. Xu Teng attacked them with a cracked pentagram in the dimension world. The confidence that was finally built up was instantly crushed to smithereens. Isn't that how wars are fought? And, what are these things? How dare you use allies to sacrifice? And, you tell me this, why do I sound like I'm saying, Gaia has betrayed you? Are you serious? The higher-ups murmured. I guess it won't take long for you to hear that Gaia is back. So, what's the purpose of you telling me this? The higher-ups reacted, and it is not a fool to sit in this position in a way. Sacrificing their soldiers was taboo, but in the dimensional world, Gaia can gain power, which can explain everything. That world was created by Xu Teng, and it would be impossible to have that kind of power without his permission. To kill Gaia, don't let him appear in public. He has threatened your safety. As soon as the video of the priest sacrificing them is made public, you made a mistake in your decision. Also, he has already taken refuge with Xu Teng. At this time, the video of you taking refuge in the kingdom of Mando will be released. Do you think you can still stay? The dull voice was full of threats. The high-level faces struggled for a long time. The high priest was right. Usually these are nothing, but if you put it in the moment, if it explodes together, it will definitely cause a serious accident. Being scolded is inevitable, and if the competitor on the opposite side uses some coercive means of propaganda, it may cause him to collapse directly in the current chaotic situation. There is no good fruit to eat from downfall. Thinking of this, the high-level eyes flash cold after contemplation. What if there is a family behind it? Anyway, a dead Taoist friend is not a poor Taoist, so don't blame me for being rude to you if you stand in my way. So, the high-level responded, okay, what do you say? Really? The high priest on the other side showed a gratified smile. People are like this. Once you have a handle on a high position, it will be fine. Is in control. I think Xu Teng should be defended first. Listening to the words of the high priest, the high-level brows were furrowed, although they cut off the main way to communicate with the internet. However, from the judgment of the high priest, they did not have an absolute advantage even. It is possible that a weakness will be found in an instant. At this time, Gaia was on his way back to China. The tools they used to land were still there, and they were not destroyed. Judging from this point alone, one has to obey Xu Teng. The big data analysis model is too powerful. Everyone thought the mission would be easy, and what happened along the way confirmed it. Result, from the moment they landed, they had already been held firmly by the other party. Even what kind of plot will happen after the connection has been calculated? Is this the strength of academician Xu Teng? With one's own power, the Dragon Kingdom has the strength to compete with the interstellar civilization in a very short period of time. On the other hand, what is he doing in our own country, Captain? Things don't seem right. Whether it was the vice captain or even the members of the company, something was wrong. When they returned to the country, they submitted the application report. Because they did not want to change halfway, they deliberately made a brief summary, just a simple sentence. There is important information to report. In the past, when it was about to arrive, you would receive news from the local area, but this time, let alone welcome home greetings, and even the sending of the message was a little late at this moment. Everyone heard a humming vibration. Looking down, I found that it was the sound of a small device that Gaia got from Xu Teng Pen Fun Library. When they took it out, everyone noticed that a paragraph appeared on the screen. Estimated time to be hit by the missile, 1 minute. Missile? Are you joking? This is a specially camouflaged cargo ship we used for departure, and it has an internal label in the army. How is this possible? The next second, the words on the screen began to refresh again. Estimated time to be hit by the missile, 50 seconds. Chapter 443. Crazy. Is it for real? Is it really not a joke? When a well-trained soldier receives news with such a large amount of information for the first time, he will choose to doubt it for a while because there are several second generations on the cargo ship. The highest-ranking Gaia has even won the idol of the entire army, and it has been vigorously promoted. Even if these honors are not mentioned, he is also a well-known second generation in China. The family power behind it is not what it says on paper. Result, it's not bad that we didn't receive heroic treatment. Judging from the current situation, we have to be silenced. Sure enough, everyone is quick. Let's run. Some people haven't reacted yet, and some people still don't want to believe everything in front of them and plan to struggle. Captain, our family, sacrifices can use us as sacrifices. Have you forgotten? The high-level people used us to cooperate with such people, and the result was already doomed. This sentence instantly woke everyone up. At first, everyone just held that there was only a little happiness. Perhaps we are different people who can receive special care, and now fantasies are ruthlessly crushed right before their eyes. There was no need for Xu Teng to lie to them. If he wanted them to die, there was no need to save them in the first place, let alone give him this kind of equipment. The only people who want them to die in front of them are them, the high-level people who want to block the news, and the high priests who let some of them pass by. Guy took the dying sacrifice in his hand and greeted everyone while running. Deputy Captain, hurry up and put down the speedboat. Everyone must go. Go and bring your weapon. Everyone's harmful communication tools are turned off immediately, and don't think about contacting your family during this time. Your presence will bring them danger. Instead, one order after another is issued, and everyone immediately executes it. Everyone is a member of the special team, and they have never trained less in the past. The sound of the stern cabin launching, one after another, is completely sufficient in terms of number. Bang bang bang. All the weapons were stuffed into the speedboat, and this was their life-saving equipment at this time. Thump, thump. All communication equipment was thrown into the sea. Even the opposite coastline is still a certain distance away. There are no ships around, and everything seems to be calm but a point in the remote controlled sky that dragged the exhaust gas into the air made everyone tremble with fear because that's really a missile. Moreover, it is still possible to give them a whole family bucket with one shot, the kind that enables everyone to go to heaven. Estimated time to be hit by the missile, 25 seconds at this time. Seeing this small device again, everyone felt a sense of intimacy. It's a life-saving artifact. Academician Xu Teng is truly an eternal god. In the future, no matter how unreliable the news appears on it, no one will doubt it. Opponents want to kill you. Don't be afraid, itself is the enemy. However, if your own people want you to die, that is the real fear. It's easy to hide with a bright gun, but hard to defend against a dark arrow. Boom rumble, the motor of the speedboat started in an instant, and the roaring engine sound sounded particularly pleasant to everyone's ears at this moment. Quick, quick, look in that direction. The device shows. Xu Teng has blocked the radar here through the internet. If we go there, the personnel monitoring us will not be able to see our activity. This time, no one expressed doubt. As soon as the steering wheel turned, he ran to the side desperately. 25 seconds later, they had escaped from the range that would be affected when they turned around. The cargo ship behind them was hit by a missile, and the flames engulfed the whole ship in an instant, and the dazzling fire stabbed their eyes with pain. Everyone's heart became heavy. We did not die at the hands of the enemy, but almost at the hands of our own people. That missile instantly made everyone lose their thoughts. What if they don't recognize it? What should we do then? Overthrow them? When they came back, everyone held a hope of 1 in 10,000, and they never thought in their hearts that they would really overthrow it, because, no matter how you say it, there are second generations in this army, and a family like Gaia has done a lot for this country. Will anyone with such a strong force behind them be wiped out? Impossible. Plus global, the situation has become completely chaotic. No one wants to be fished in troubled waters, but now, everyone's heart is full of anger after doing it. If you don't let me live, then you don't want to live. Besides, the high level chose to cooperate with a high priest, and I heard that they also sold their civilization. This kind of person deserves to be a leader too? If the world is so turbid, then come for me to start a new era of civilization in this group of people. The only one who laughed was the priest who became a prisoner. Haha. You don't really think that Xu Teng can fight against us? Don't worry, the final victory must belong to us. Cough cough, I'll watch you die. Unlike the natives of Blue Star, the sacrificial vomit is not blood when it is weak. Instead, it's a black fog that symbolizes energy. To shut up, Gaia stepped on the priest's face mercilessly. At this time, the small device in hand showed a new position. Go, over there, inside a certain base on the other side of Blue Star. Xu Teng was listening to Xinghu's report. Gaia has successfully escaped the predicament, and the missiles sent by the other party did not have a lethal effect on them. The satellites along the way and various monitoring equipment on the street are all blinded, and will not capture images of their passing. Have already invaded a part of the network? Have you released the recorded video? In Xinghu's big data calculation, halfway interception is only the first step. That's to completely eradicate the grass and roots. After all, several of the troops are second generation. Not to mention the power of a family like Gaia. If they were alive, it's going to be a hassle to deal with later. It's not like the kind of powerless family that can handle it at will. So, interception is the most important point. People are gone, which is the best point. Whether it is sacrificed during the mission or sacrificed when returning, the process is not important. The result is good, that is, but if it is not intercepted, the opponent will start to use the power of public opinion. If Gaia is portrayed as a traitor, the follow-up processing will be much easier, and Xinghu's response was that after helping them avoid missiles, the truth should be released immediately. What is this? The 36 Strategies of the Art of War, Preemptive Strike. Chapter 444. Amazing video. Listening to Xinghu's suggestion, Xu Teng immediately responded in a deep voice, send the recorded video to try to let more people see what happened during that time. Clear. As the command is issued, a complete progress bar appears on the screen, and this symbolizes that there are many places in the beautiful country's network that have begun to put videos recorded by Xinghu, although the high level suppressed the information on Gaia's side, and at the same time sent missiles to intercept. But because the popularity of their publicity before the expedition reached a very high level, many people are actively paying attention to this kind of thing. Hey, do you guys think that the troops led by Gaia can be as powerful as the Dragon Kingdom? It's okay. Did I hear that there are priests sent by the high priest to follow? One thing to say, I have always wondered why I should cooperate with a high priest. Is that kind of person worthy? Bikwaku in the beautiful country, The high priest once highly publicized the ability of sacrifice useful for that, to get others to join, and only, the effect is not that great in particular. The matter of the forward military base made it difficult for the people to let go. Everyone who sees them will think of the data that was released. The base of the living dead tricked them into the past and become the required evolutionary resource, but because the government has been pressing and shifting the contradictory goals. Only in China can we reluctantly accept this. We are all allies, we must cooperate well and enter the interstellar era with each other. Hey, are you a little strange? Since yesterday, all the news of Gaia troops fighting on the front line has been cut off, and there is no domestic media report. You said that, I remembered a little. Yesterday, a ship exploded on the sea not far from my home, and the power was like a missile explosion. Missile people who are surfing the internet are stunned when they see this sentence. Unlike the da-da-da of a gun, missiles can wipe out the surrounding buildings. When such a big thing happened, why has no media ever reported it on the internet? Not even the gossip news. What you said is false. If it is true, why there is not even a picture on the net? Picture? Wait, I'll send it to you. The enthusiasm of the melon-eating crowd was immediately mobilized, and everyone began to urge, hurry up, it's been 2 minutes, and I haven't gotten on yet. This brother looks fake at first glance. He is busy with pictures. Just when everyone was ready to take it seriously, a few pictures appeared on the internet in an instant. It's clearly a series of plots, from the launch of the missile, to the hit, and even to the sinking of the ship at the end. The pictures are as clear as they are at the scene: the long exhaust, the sky-high flames, and the last debris. Is it true? Is there a great doubt to identify it? Is this true? I am a professional retoucher. No matter which detail you look at, everything is true, and there is no trace of picture at all. So, who the hell did this? Could it be Xu Teng? Seeing this name, everyone was stunned. If it's someone else, we need to check it out. But if it's Xu Teng, Pen Fund Library Sanctioner Mecha, Red Dragon 1, in a short period of time, so many big killers have been created, and there is nothing impossible. Just when someone was about to download it, something was wrong. When you click on the picture, you can't find it. No, what the hell happened? Isn't it really coming? What about Gaia's troops? Did they sacrifice? Damn, first the death god civilization invaded us, then the high priest, and now Xu Teng. Can't we have a peaceful day? At this time, some inappropriate comments appeared in the scolding remarks. Hey, something big has happened. You guys watch this video. The Gaia troops didn't sacrifice, but the whole thing is a little wrong. Nowadays, as long as it is related to the Gaia force, it has extremely high traffic and popularity in particular. I also know the good news. The other party did not sacrifice, so why did the country keep all the news of the frontline troops closed? In addition, Gaia's troops have always gone on expeditions in the name of heroes, and they have ushered in a large number of people in a period of time. Quantity. The crowd watched with curiosity different from the world they are in now. The picture that appears on the screen is a world composed of gray torrents, and this. The most conspicuous is the sacrifice that occupies half of the screen. The reason for being able to recognize them is the turbulent black mist. War is really fought like this? It seems like a war in another dimension. The key point is, the sacrifice is at a disadvantage. I have also seen that the black fog has always been suppressed by the torrent of gray data. Hey, look, Gaia's troops are staying in another place. Why don't they go up and help? Wait, what's up with that pentagram? Everyone knows that different combinations of pentagrams inspire different effects. That pentagram this time. Could it be the power to activate Gaia's troops? Only, all the good things were shattered in the next moment. A part of the Special Forces members did follow the pentagram to the sky, and the black mist poured in instantly, but it can also be seen from the high-definition camera picture, and the people inside show uncomfortable expressions immediately afterwards. The black mist sprayed out from the body, becoming a more intense black mist that was amplified on the body of the sacrifice. The barrage is dead silent at this moment. So-called allies are here to help. Everyone knows that this is just an excuse. But the most basic morality must be there you are. The soldiers of our country were sacrificed directly. Fuck, what does it mean to sacrifice? Our soldiers' lives and deaths can be manipulated at will. This is the ally who will take good care of you. Our elite soldiers are inferior to pigs and dogs in your eyes. Just when everyone's anger was at its peak, another explosion occurred. The increase in the black mist did not allow the priest to gain the so-called advantage when confronting the gray torrent, and those who escaped became the target of sacrifice. Once again, with a wave of his hand, he stopped everyone immediately after being enveloped by the black mist inside the pentagram. Everyone could hear the sacrifices even through the screen. Chapter 445, Home was stolen? It's honorable for you filthy reptiles to dedicate themselves to our civilization, let alone you. Even if the high-level domestic come over, you still have to kneel and obey. The black fog on the pentagram seemed to be endless, and it kept coming out, invading Gaia and the members of their troops. Everyone else was speechless in pain, but Gaia looked up and said with difficulty, "If our people knew what happened here, would you still be alive?" Every time he said a word, the black mist eroded a little more, and even the eye sockets began to be covered by the turbulent black mist. The threatened sacrificial completely ignored it and said with a smile, "Don't you think your higher-ups don't know about these things? It's ridiculous. I don't know why when I was sold, in fact, some of what the priest said was not all true, and Xing who made some changes. The real and the fake are the most difficult to guard against. Does the truth matter sometimes? It doesn't matter. The atmosphere is all set here, and the man in charge decided that it was you who sacrificed." The national mood watching the video was completely ignited at this moment. Originally, the beautiful country and the civilization of the god of death had hatred, and so many people died in the frontier military base. This account was only temporarily suppressed. In the name of the Allies, what about on the front lines? Pentagram directly used them as sacrifices, and even exposed the most important information. The high-level people didn't care about the bloody soldiers fighting on the front line at all, and they acquiesced to this kind of behavior. Fuck. Isn't that just being a dog for the high priest and the others? Why? What is it? Facing the Allies, offering sacrifices behind their backs? All those who are sitting on the top floor will roll down for me. Could it be Gaia and the others will really die? That's what makes everyone pay attention. This is a heroic force that has been created. If even they fail, is the next action necessary? Just when everyone was desperate, the gray data torrent suddenly turned into brilliance, and slowly converged into human shape. Xu Teng, the youngest academician in the history of the Dragon Kingdom, is the most surprising. Stimulate the growth of national scientific research strength by oneself. Sanctioner Mecha, Red Dragon number 1. Which one is not a product at the top of Blue Star's scientific research at this time? The tall figure gathered by the light said to the sacrifice in a calm tone, "This is not a place where you can go wild, really? Then try." The moment the conversation between the two was just finished, they saw that all the rays of light dissipated and gathered into Gaia's body. Immediately afterwards, the black mist was gradually expelled, and the concentration gradually faded. Gaia was radiating light all over his body, and the black mist all over his body was squeezed away in an instant. The injury was recovered in an instant, and the moment he opened his eyes, he could even see the storm formed by the wind spinning behind him. "I'm going, so handsome, Super Saiyan. This thing really exists on Blue Star, and it's all real in the animation. You are so tall, you are obviously a super soldier made with a technology far beyond today's technology. In fact, everything is similar to what the comments said. In this world created by Xing, who using spiritual strength, Gaia really became a super warrior in the dimensional world in an instant. Then, Gaia, who could only be beaten, turned downhill, chased the opposite hammer. The unexpected thing is that the priest used the mark on his body to summon the high priest. It proves 1 point from the side. What he said is not wrong. Even the projection of the high priest can be summoned. Even if this sacrifice happened, the high level will not focus on it at the moment when Gaia was in crisis. Xu Teng shot in the dimension world. Xu Teng used the summoned pentagram to fight against the high priest. Then, in the duels, the dimensional world was destroyed. The video ends here. And all those who can watch fall into silence. Pen Fun Library. In just a few minutes, a series of explosion messages were conveyed. The so-called allies are scams, and everyone is the sacrifice of the opposite at critical moments. The high-level people know everything, but they still choose to cooperate with the high priest and hide the news. The most shocking point is, what attack method did Xu Teng use in the end? Pentagram? It must be. The high priest wasn't publicly published. Planetary civilization research. It is a technology that absolutely cannot crack the pentagram. I heard it too, but today the illusion was shattered. Gaia was saved by Xu Teng. Our allies are killing people, but our enemies are starting to save people. The popularity of the internet topic reached a climax in an instant. Everyone was confused. Judging from the results of the video, Gaia and the soldiers in the army must be alive. Since he is alive, he will definitely return to his native land. But at that time, the beautiful country completely cut off the news of Gaia's frontline troops. Then came the so-called missile explosion, but such a big thing, not a single domestic media report. A large black net gradually opened, and the net caught everyone's heart. So, that missile attacked, wouldn't it be Gaia's troops? Such a sentence completely detonated the internet. After the context of the incident was linked, the truth became clear in an instant. No matter how outrageous it was, the websites of major official media were swept up in an instant. Fuck. This is the so-called Allied Army. Trash. All trash. Look at Xu Teng. Other countries have broken through the shackles of technology under the leadership of a young academician. And what are we doing? Kneeling and licking the high priest. I can go to Nima, because Xinghu's computing power is powerful, and it has seized many network channels in advance now. The senior management of beautiful country is completely stunned. What the hell? I just took a nap at home, and our reputation immediately fell into trough. Even in crisis, home is about to be stolen. Quick. The technicians will delete the post. Control the comments and take the video off the shelf from me. After a while, the technicians did delete a series of videos, but in the time of the refresh, those videos reappeared in another place. What the hell? Sending bypassing our control. It's over. I'm afraid it's artificial intelligence technology. Refresh again. More and more. No matter how they delete it, the video will always go online and slowly spiral out of control. Leadership. Things seem to be getting out of hand. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 446, the video occupying the homepage. Out of control. At this time, the leader standing behind said that people were a little puzzled. No, you don't always talk about information technology, and Bluester does not surpass you. Let's not talk about the situation of the network being blasted. Even if you delete the video, you can't do it. The younger brother under his command did not dare to look up at the fierce look in his boss's eyes, and said cautiously, the AI on the other side, too strong. On the other side of Blue Star, in a room at a base, Xinghu is making a routine report on the situation. The opposite network has been captured. Some areas are completely under our control, and the video has spread on a large scale. It is followed by a series of data, marked in red. The number of videos being deleted by the other party, the blue mark, is the number of videos delivered by Xinghu. The proportions between the two colors are vastly different. While the scale of blue is constantly being expanded, the other party's official website has been blasted, and now the hotspots on the internet are, where did Guy go? And we absolutely cannot be allies with the civilization of the High Priest. Looking at the series of data, Xu Teng slowly put down the stone that was pressed in his heart, just as he had guessed. When the video broke, the truth was known. The country of beautiful country will inevitably be under pressure from the people. If you want to continue to join forces with the High Priest and the others as if you are nothing, then don't think about it. The pressure on the Dragon Country side will be relieved, and there will be time to concentrate on dealing with the people from the High Priest side. Do you need to upload a video that Gaia and the others sent over? Taking away sacrifices is part of Xu Teng's plan to convince the masses thoroughly. You must use solid evidence. Everything that happens in the dimensional world, no matter from which angle you look at it, is beyond the comprehension of ordinary people. It is easy to make a fuss about it by letting people at the top react. For example, everything that happens in that world is fake, and everything is fake. The fate of the official media is easy to bring rhythm under the hype. Let some unsettled people break away from their original ideas. The sacrifice is different. The unique black fog and the unique pentagram of the death god civilization will never be can be replaced by humans. This is the big weapon in Xu Teng's serial plan to hammer the opponent to death. Has the senior management of the beautiful country already acted? If the public opinion is too serious, the official will end. Otherwise, letting the situation develop will eventually lead to completely out of control results. Already acted. As soon as the picture on the screen was switched, a large amount of data emerged, and it was classified by Xinghu in an instant, just as Xu Teng had guessed. Daily Mail, is there really such a world in the world? Listen to the experts' analysis on how to falsify the video. Sally News, our high-level leaders will never give up on us. The so-called allies are mutually beneficial. Overseas situation, please be wary of the opposition caused by online speech. Defeating a civilization often starts from the inside. The original remarks on the internet began to appear different voices. Just kidding. In the hundreds of years of our country, we have never surrendered to anyone. It has always been for others to surrender to us, and the high level will never kneel to the High Priest. Fuck, wash the white dog. You are really disgusting. It's so funny upstairs. When you tell the truth, it's whitewashed. Has our civilization ever surrendered to others? As the rhetoric grew, some became suspicious. How could Xu Teng save our Gaia troops? He's our enemy, and the High Priest is our ally, offering sacrifices in front of all members of the army. This behavior is really outrageous. When there are more and more remarks, Even though they sound outrageous, the majority of netizens will choose to believe them, so the backstage staff went to report with great joy. The trend of leadership online has begun to change, and many people have begun to believe that Xu Teng is our most important enemy. The hatred of the High Priest's army has disappeared, and the sacrifices have been gradually washed away. Many people began to wonder if the video is P. Because of the content, the dimensional world is too ridiculous. It's not just that ordinary people think so. Even when they see the dimensional world for the first time, they feel that their cognition has been subverted, but in fact, everything about the video is real. That is the battle of the dimensional world. Everyone makes them understand in a new way of fighting in the world created by spiritual power. The wars of interstellar civilizations are often reflected in various aspects and dimensions. Xu Teng, this time I'll see how you answer it. The video crisis that you rely on has been resolved, and this is our local network. What other key information can you find? At this time, various data are being displayed on the screen on the other side of the blue star. According to statistics, the influence of the video continues to decline, and many people begin to doubt the authenticity of the video content. The total number of remarks blaming the High Priest is constantly decreasing, and the total number of remarks that Gaia troops have been killed by us continues to increase. According to the analysis of big data, if the video recorded by Gaia is put up at this moment, the effect will be the best reverse. The development of things is always like this. The smooth road lacks meaning, and the twists and turns are the kingly way, especially when everyone thinks that the matter is finalized. A shocking reversal is the highest level of traffic and popularity. Then put the video taken by Gaia, and the hammer will kill them. Okay, the progress bar of the project appears on the big screen, behind which the videos are being delivered to websites different from the conservative approach last time. This time, Xinghu is full of firepower. All network channel locations that can be controlled are open, and even congestion occurs. I knew that the video content must be forged, and there will still be something as shocking as the dimensional world in the world. Just at a glance, I knew that Gaia and the others must have been killed by Xu Teng, and they said that they were sacrificed by sacrifices, which is outrageous. Just when everyone turned their attention to Xu Teng, a video quickly occupied the homepage of most websites and platforms. Although the face is haggard, you can see the other party's fatigue at a glance, but the eye-catching golden hair can finally attract everyone's attention. This is Gaia. Is he really still alive? How is it completely different from the official disappearance that does not rule out the possibility of death? One click to open the video, the picture jumps, and the dark environment immediately appears in front of everyone. Chapter 447. People who are generally wanted will dim their surroundings a bit when recording videos, and some even appear in places surrounded by walls. The reason for this is that even if the person chasing sees the video, it is difficult to track the specific place through the environment reflected in the video. Therefore, when many people see the dark environment, their first reaction is, Gaia is wanted. Who the hell is looking for him? Xu Teng. As soon as the camera turned, Gaia appeared in front of everyone, and the first sentence he spoke shocked everyone. I am Gaia, and now I am wanted by our country. The person who wants him is not Xu Teng, but our country. Impossible. What about the arrest warrant? No one has seen a wanted notice on the internet at all. After shaking for a while, the screen gradually stabilized. I know you guys in front of the screen might not believe this, but it's true. We came back on a converted cargo ship. From the outside, there is nothing unusual about the transport ship, and we went well along the way. But not long after entering the territorial waters, we received a message. Gaia took out a mobile phone screen, which was playing a short video, but you can also see the picture very clearly. First, a small device appeared as a reminder. Warning. About to be hit by a missile. Ada. 1 minute. Everyone was stunned, and after a while, they began to prepare to run around. I have to say that the response speed of the special forces is really not covered. In a short period of time, everyone has prepared various measures. Some were holding weapons, some were pushing speedboats into the water, and Guy himself was carrying a figure with black fog on it. Is this a sacrifice? Some people reacted, although embarrassed, but because the performance of sacrifice in the dimensional world is too conspicuous, some people can recognize it at a glance. So, that video content that is called fake, is there a possibility that it is real? The content that followed was even more explosive. The picture of the video is adjusted to the distance, and there is a small object dragging a long tail under the blue sky missile. This time, no matter how stupid people are, they have reacted. Damn. Is it really a missile? The environment there is very familiar. I remember it seems to be near a famous military base in our country. Yeah, that's it. Routine inspections are required for normal sea crossings, so The cargo ship where Gaia is on is really on our domestic territory. A short sentence. Let everyone understand a little. It was attacked by a missile on the domestic territory, and the purpose of that missile was already obvious. It was followed by an urging sound, the roar of the speedboat engine. Everyone escaped the range safely before the countdown. The picture zoomed out. The cargo ship in the distance was directly smashed to the ground, and a monstrous fire appeared behind the Gaia team at this moment. The picture is full and shocking, a real close call. Some netizens who originally jumped back have also fallen silent at the moment. The reason why trolls are trolls is because they are not convinced the sea is a domestic place. Although the cargo ship is modified, it must have its number inside the army under various factors. A missile that could kill everyone was launched. What is this? This is not wanted, and it is the highest level of wanted. And no one even gave time to respond. If it weren't for a device that would warn in time that it would be hit by a missile, how could anyone imagine that they would be obliterated as soon as they entered the country? I think you are wondering why this happened. Yeah, everyone would be surprised. The troop of recognized heroes that were created would wipe them all out in a split second. What type of mistake is this going to make this happen? And many more. Someone realized something the next second. A weak man was pulled out by Gaia, different from ordinary people. His body has undergone many changes, and his organs have been distorted to a certain extent. Except for the facial features on his face, it is difficult to define him as a human being. The most conspicuous places are the faint black mist on the body and the pentagram engraved on the skin. There are many people who don't know him yet, so let me briefly introduce him. He is on a mission with us. Having said this, Gaia paused for a while, then said in an ashing voice, "The sacrifices, and the chosen people of God who are sent with them to perform tasks have already been killed by us." Exclamation mark. Killed. The barrage exploded in an instant at this moment, because they had seen a so-called fake video before. The content of it is that the size of the sacrifice is constantly enlarged, and they are sacrificed. Wait, that video wouldn't be real, would it? It's possible. If that's the case, I seem to understand why. At this time, the priests in the video tried to escape many times, but they did not break free from Gaia's shackles. You, these lowly civilizations, one day I will sacrifice all of you. If it wasn't for Xu Teng, you would have gone to hell long ago. With that gloomy tone and low tones, no one would doubt the inner feelings of the priest uttering these words. He really wanted to sacrifice Gaia, but now there is no chance. In the video, Gaia suddenly raised his head, and the azure pupils seemed to be burning with monstrous anger. High level, you wait for me. What I've endured now will all be returned to you one day. You actually cooperate with the unlimited high priest, and condone them to sacrifice us. Then this country will not be under your control. I will come. The scene stopped abruptly at this moment, but the information conveyed in it immediately made the network boil directly. My God. They actually treat us as a lowly civilization? Why? What is it? This is the funniest joke I've heard this year. Your allies want to sacrifice you, but your opponents are helping you secretly. Step down. Why don't you step down? With such a high-level presence, can our country still be saved? We and the high priest will not die. Let them all get out. The back-office technicians who were also preparing to control the evaluation were dumbfounded. They also didn't expect that the whole thing would explode in the last moment, and the public grievances peaked at this moment. Many people who were a little afraid of sacrifice in their hearts were rushed to the top of their heads by a kind of blood. No nation can accept such humiliation. The anger began to burn, and many people spontaneously began to search for the location of the sacrifice on the internet. Now, things have completely changed. Chapter 448 Death God in number 039, S projection. If everyone is a real interstellar civilization, public opinion is not an important thing under the absolute strength gap. All the resistance on the side has no effect, but the key point is, they are all on the way to transforming into interstellar civilization, and their strength is not enough to crush the other party. Take the High Priest as an example. The pentagram can create so-called warriors in batches, just like an assembly line. Because death did not deliver the core technology to them, the production time of the assembly line was very long. Therefore, whether it is God's chosen people or sacrifices, the number is limited. As a result, it took so long for everything to be damaged by Xu Teng's men after finally becoming a coalition army. I thought of using this to compete with Xu Teng's strength, and even thought of using the public opinion war to bring down the opponent. The consequences: the family will be taken over. Brothers, I have found the place for the sacrifice. Who wants to come with me today? I heard there's a new way to deal with them. Really? It's all spread on the internet. In this good opportunity to get under the hood, Xinghu disclosed all the data obtained by invading the beautiful country's network on the internet. Ordinary bullets can indeed break through their black fog defense. But adding some engravings is different. Disturbing the operation of the pentagram can cause maximum damage to the opponent pen fund library. Not to mention that Xinghu also released a series of data. For example, Gaia and the family members of the troops were threatened by the authorities, and all of them were taken to another place for their safety. The most irritating operation of the official is to make public remarks not long after the video came out. The video circulating on the internet is a rumor. Gaia and their troops all rely on Xu Teng, and will be dealt with as treason. When Xu Teng saw the news, he really exclaimed. Absolutely, a little normal person would not make this type of remarks publicly under such circumstances, but the official did. I'm riding a horse to see you is a rumor. Someone confronted him as judged by the big data model established by Xinghu. The beautiful country was completely in chaos. Not only that, but the alliance between the high priest and them was also broken at this moment. Xinghu, has Gaia asked us for help? Yes, mainly the assistance of weapons, troops and various information. A series of application requirements appeared on the screen. Xu Teng said with a little thought, send all these requests to the top management and explain the situation. The time for resource integration must come as soon as possible, and Gaia is the pawn we released. Clear, when it comes to whether Gaia will defect afterwards, Xu Teng is not worried at all. The invasion of consciousness has fundamentally changed his fixed thinking. Besides, under the pressure of the Death God fleet, he will understand that following Xu Teng is the best way. What happened in the dimensional world is really shocking. The dazzling light can shape a person into a god of war in an instant, and even the other party's pentagram technology has deciphered a lot. That's it? Don't hang out with Big Brother. What do you think? If Gaia requests military assistance in the future, remember to deploy it in time. After all, the other party is a down-and-out special member, and now there are no weapons, no troops, and even information needs to be provided by them to overthrow the inherent rule. The deployment of military force is indispensable, and violence is often the best way to solve the problem. What if the other party needs the assistance of the Sanctioner Mecha Warrior Squad? In today's Dragon Kingdom, the cutting-edge individual force is still the Sanctioner Mecha Warrior Squad. The Guardian is still in the pre-production stage, and there are a lot of experimental details that need to be perfected. Frowning, Xu Teng said, it can be satisfied under the application requirements of a team. If there are more, it still won't work. Clear. The main reason why Xu Teng hesitated was because of the High Priest. As soon as the relationship between the allies broke down, Gaia was obviously on Xu Teng's side, working hard to liberate the whole country. Then their high priest became Xu Teng's only target. In fact, the plan does. A part of Xinghu's computing power has fully invaded the territory of the high priest, and he is constantly digging into the data to beat the reservoir dogs. Is to take a stab at it. Toot. Xu Teng's personal phone rang, and he was stunned for a moment, then turned to look at the call notification on the screen. Su Zhao, in this case, something must have been discovered. When he left the base of the living dead, he left the lightsaber team and Su Zhao there just to inquire about the rest of the base. The enemy's forces should all be wiped out in one go. As soon as the phone was connected, I heard Su Zhao's voice full of resentment. Academician Su, it's been so long, why hasn't my mecha improved yet? Xu Teng, mechas are mechas, so what's the matter with your tone of resentment? This time there will definitely be. After a pause, he continued, you called, it shouldn't be for this, right? Is there something in the investigation base? Having said this, Su Zhao's tone immediately became excited, like a student waiting to be praised. Of course, there is nothing I can't do with Su Chao. I use hands. Let me tell you, those bases really make us have a good meal. After Su Zhao's ramble, he got a general understanding of everything. The remaining bases of the High Priest include the base for making wormhole doors, the base for mass production of sacrifices, and the base for making projections of death projection base. Xu Teng was stunned when he heard the news in the last duel. Didn't the projection of summoning the god of death require a steady stream of sacrifices? Can you hear Su Zhao's reaction? Can you also use technology to shape a projection and then summon it directly? Well, I couldn't believe it at first, but I just confirmed the news after multiple inquiries. Since the god of death was nailed to death by a space-based weapon, the High Priest has tried to summon the god of death more than once. The final result ended in failure, although a lot of sacrifices were wasted, but also found another way. For some reason, Xu Teng felt a little bit of something wrong. That's right, the last time I fought with you in the dimensional world, the High Priest suddenly changed his way. If you expand the influence of spiritual power, let it radiate to the surrounding, and form a unique world. At this time, through the sacrifice of sacrifices, you may be able to summon the projection of the god of death. Chapter 449 Armory. You sure? Sure. After hearing the answer, Xu Teng was stunned. He never expected the high priest to send out through the sacrificial seal to fight against himself in the dimensional world. Although the duel between the two people, the high priest did not seek benefits but unexpectedly provided another way of thinking. Xinghu, calculate whether the god of death can be truly projected onto the blue star. According to this line of thinking, okay, a series of data models appeared on the screen, the technology of the pentagram was added, and the gray torrent began to pour in different technologies like a funnel. Not only was the high priest comprehended, but Xinghu also read enough data in that struggle to improve the entire world. A continuous black fog began to appear on the screen, and the gray torrents of data turned into various objects one after another. Model data construction is no problem, the spiritual world is continuing to expand, and the capacity begins to increase. At this time, the light of the pentagram emerged, and the surrounding black mist poured in frantically, which was simulating the sacrifice process of the sacrifice. The passage of the world is slowly opened, and energy flows from one world to another, including Su Zhao and the lightsaber team on the other end of the screen were listening carefully, sweating on each other's palms. They almost freaked out when they tried to get this information. Is it really possible? If the time cannot catch up, then all the efforts will be in vain. Entering the final simulation stage, standing in front of the screen, Xu Teng's eyes widened, because from the current situation, everything seemed to be okay in the world of spiritual power. It is possible to do some things that cannot be done in the main world. When the scope expands, it will gradually penetrate into the main world, and that link node is the most critical part. If you can't bear the transition from the illusory world to the real world, all your efforts will be in vain. The black mist is constantly melting, but at the same time replenishing. This is the key point of pentagram technology linking the world, obtaining energy through sacrifice. 1% of the simulation progress, with a rapid turnaround of data. Xu Teng was a little stunned looking at this trend, wouldn't it be? It just so happened that Xinghu exploded the final simulation results at this moment. Simulation progress is 100%, concept established, only, I want to complete the projection of the god of death. A large number of sacrifices are required to keep the energy at an astonishing stage. Listening to this conclusion, everyone feels a little uncomfortable in their hearts because this has already been confirmed. This method of the high priest can do that. The key is that it requires a large number of sacrifices. If it is other civilizations, it is somewhat scruples, but they, even their own people, can make sacrifices. A large number of sacrifices is not difficult for them, and now the situation is chaotic. It's not enough to just arrest some people anyway, it's a showdown, so don't pretend someone is fine, no matter where he comes from. Su Zhao, you are monitoring the complex around the base, don't act rashly, clear. Having said this, Yuan Firen, who had been listening by the side, couldn't help but interjected, Academician Su, I heard that there are still medicines that can activate the primary mecha power in China, although they have never returned to China. The system on the satellite positioning mobile phone is Xinghu. Through it, you can see the situation of various broadcasts during this time. Pen Fun Library, for example. The decisive battle between the Red Dragon 1 and the Freedom in the Atmosphere, the high-spirited nose and red body. I have to say that the screen can make several people's blood boil. The dream of a big country is perfectly revealed in front of everyone at this moment of the global live broadcast. Space fighters, Long Guo also has them, and they are in the first echelon of Blue Star technology. At that time, everyone wanted to be the operator of the Red Dragon 1, but the information they later learned from Xinghu changed their minds in the coastal city. The key reason why the operators of the Sanctioner Mecha were able to attack the Hyena missile was to awaken the primary Mecha power. At the last moment when they first heard the news, these people looked bewildered. The power of primary Mecha, what it is, sounds like a great look. The results are carried out with the support of Xinghu data to understand. One by one began to be shocked. Fuck, is this the primary Mecha power? It's a bit powerful. Why don't we ask Academician Su for one? Probably not. Academician Su has not contacted us recently. Otherwise, just wait. This wait is so many days until this call comes. Of course you have to seize the opportunity. It's not that we miss the primary Mecha power, but it's too tempting. If Yuan Firen hadn't taken the initiative to bring this up, Xu Teng would have almost forgotten them. There are too many things going on recently. Gaia's escape, and the domestic situation in the beautiful country. All of these are backlogged together, and fortunately, the alliance of the allies has been initially disintegrated. The potion of primary Mecha power will be delivered. You just need to absorb the potion according to Xinghu's instructions. Unlike before, as long as the medicine scent is completely absorbed, part of the genetic lock can be unlocked. After normal procedures, you will definitely get the primary mecha power. Okay, thank you Academician Su. Yuan Farron lowered his voice and forcibly suppressed his excitement. Su Zhao, who was on the side, was different, and exclaimed excitedly, "Wow, it really is Academician Su who understands me best." After hanging up the phone, Xu Teng's mind was a little heavy. Different from the last time I went to the base of the living dead, this time I went to the territory of the High Priest, and it would definitely be the kind that really went deep into the tiger's den. Different bases have different defenses. Not to mention that there is also a base of projection of death. The battle of life and death will definitely break out there, the world built by mental power. If you break in rashly, it will definitely be dangerous. Before entering there, you should make a protective device that can block mental power attacks. As for offensive weapons, it's a bit lacking from everything at hand. If there are new blueprints, just thinking of this, I heard Xinghu interrupting Xu Teng's thinking. Just now, I re-examined the arsenal left by Xing and found a little different. Well, part of the area of the arsenal has been unlocked, and new weapons have been exposed. Armory. Chapter 450 Time and Space Thorn. Before Xinghe went into deep sleep, he left behind the arsenal and treasure house of knowledge at the beginning. Its original words were, "Every weapon in the arsenal is extremely aggressive, and the treasury of knowledge involves some knowledge of cosmic civilization. Having this knowledge can greatly enhance the development of civilization." Xu Teng has long wanted to know about these good things. However, when Xinghu inherited a small problem, the most critical point is that many things are locked and cannot be called at will. Today, something finally emerged. Quick, project a part of the arsenal that can be seen on the screen. Okay, with a beating of the screen, the inherited arsenal finally revealed its latest appearance. Space-time thorns, god-killing weapons. It is wide in appearance and looks like a dagger. Detailed introduction. Unlike ordinary god-killing weapons, space-time spines can be used in combination with wormhole calculations, because the special design will not cause positioning deviations when passing through wormholes, can accurately attack the enemy at the exit of the wormhole, and 100% accurate positioning. Xu Teng looked at the introduction at the top of the screen, and everyone was numb. God-killing weapons. This short sentence really shocked me. For a whole year when he read the information about the god of death from Xinghe, he was thinking a little pen fun library of a civilized group will have the title of god at the end. It means that there will not be only one god in the entire universe. Moreover, often every civilization has a patron saint. If so inferred, their lifespan will definitely reach a terrifying place. Then in this world, oh no, is there really nothing in the universe that can threaten them? Although, the space-based weapon stare the projection of the god of death to death, the whole process was achieved by occupying the right time, place and people, and facing only a projection of death. But just a projection of the god of death almost made the civilization of Blue Star enslaved within a day. If you really encounter the god of death, how should you fight it? The moment he saw Time and Space Thorn, Xu Teng understood a little god-killing weapon. If you have them, you can really do harm to them. Pen fun library. At this point, knowledge associated with a divine body appears at the top of the screen. Every galaxy will have a so-called divine body. Only when the divine body exists can a galaxy be truly protected. The so-called god body, the concept in the interstellar spaces, use technology to create gods, let their genes go through continuous upgrades, and gradually be able to do things beyond ordinary people's imagination. And once the creation of the gods is completed, most of the weapons in the world cannot cause a certain amount of damage to the gods. And powerful interstellar weapons are difficult to bombard individuals precisely. In this case, the god-killing weapon appeared. God-killing weapons can truly kill gods, both physically and mentally. It turned out that everything was as I had guessed. It seems that when the arsenal is unlocked, the treasury of knowledge can also be unlocked to a certain extent. The timing of all this came very timely. Just at the stage when Xu Teng was about to clash with the high priest. Those experimental bases must be destroyed no matter what, and absolutely cannot stay. Xinghu decomposed the blueprint of Time and Space Spike, and there can be no wrong guessing in every detail. Clear it is not a difficult situation to build a model of space-time spike. With Xinghu's current computing power, after all, this kind of weapon can attack through wormholes. And every detail cannot be ignored. Submit the action application to the top, assemble the sanctioner mecha team, and prepare to attack the base of the high priest at any time. A series of commands were sent, and he asked as if he thought of something here. By the way, I see that the production raw materials of space-time spike are relatively strict. According to the current resources, how many can we produce? Searching, today's Xinghu has been able to do all aspects of scheduling, and even all domestic resources are arranged by it. Without affecting other mission plans, based on the existing resources, space-time thorns can only produce 2. Seeing the shocked expression on Xu Teng's face, Xinghu explained. Because all the raw materials for manufacturing need to use star iron, and the storage of star iron has reached the point of going down, if all aspects of the plan can be stopped, no need, just follow normal production, clear the other plans in Xinghu's mouth are all prepared for the future war. None of the solar system defense line, the sanctioner mecha or even the guardian mecha can be stopped when a series of orders were issued. The state machinery turned, every place is turning, whether it is scientific researchers or soldiers in the army, everyone's mood is mixed. The Great War is coming, and this time the symbolism of the Great War is even more important. If you win, you will be able to completely integrate Blue Star's resources and use it to fight against the upcoming space fleet in the near future. But if he loses, the future of mankind on the Blue Star should end at this point. Too, the footsteps approached, and Yuan Wei, who was in a daze, looked up and saw that it was Captain Chen Yong. The surface of the dark sanctioner mecha reflected a dazzling light, and the smile on his face was clearly visible. What, are you afraid? Yuan Rui raised his head in confusion. Are you worried about the fight against the High Priest's troops soon? You've been gloomy all day today. I'm really worried. After all, this is a bet on the future of Blue Star's entire human race. It's a lie to say you're not worried. Ha, I knew it. Patting Yuan Rui's shoulder, Chen Yong suddenly said, is it even scary? Afraid? After being stunned for a while, Yuan Rui slowly shook his head. The only thing that's possible now is not to be afraid. That's not good. Chen Yong patted the latter's shoulder. As the first ones to unlock the first-generation mecha power, we don't need to think so much. The above says that we need us. We will just rush. As for the rest, just leave it to Academician Su. Yes, just leave it to Academician Su. Yuan Rui smiled. Almighty researchers are not simply talking about it. At this time, the public also realized that something was wrong. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.